Hi, everybody. So I have my list that I was just showing, my for and against. I still only have against that Rick was seemingly acting innocent when he first started the trial. Today, some things were revealed that I'm going to add in the for Rick being guilty. But there could be some other things that are against. So I'll give people a hot minute to join. Oh. Where did my thing go? I just ate a small bag of Cheez-Its because I don't eat. I'm just waking up, not eating, going in line and moving it along. Here we go. I know you guys want to find out stuff, so here we go. Oh, I have to add my witness thing, the banner at the bottom to try and, that's not right, sorry. Who is today's first witness? What the heck? Please stand by. I'm missing my first paper. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Please stand by. Okay, page 36 through, sorry if that's making a noise. So I'm starting on page 36. I have 65 pages. First up was, oh, it was him. He returned. The return of Brienne Wilbur. Can somebody say, yes, we hear you, start rambling for 2 hours? Somebody say, Tom, start rambling for 2 hours. Put this over here. No, I need my for and against there. I'm exhausted. Okay, thank you, Greg. Here we go. Nobody else has to write that. I'm starting. Today, October 22nd, morning session. So I wrote, Rick had on brown pants, a new pair of pants, a light green and white striped shirt. He looked a little more sluggish coming in. Don't read anything into my Rick is doing this or that. It's just basically my perceptions. I'm not saying that I'm right. Glasses on. So he actually had them on his eyes instead of on his head. Looking at papers with Baldwin. So Brienne Wilbur returned. Luttrell is for the prosecution, will show evidence items along with Brienne Wilbur. So Luttrell show items and they have different numbers on these bags. So it's like a lot of the clothing and stuff. Oh my God. Hi, Sherry. Somebody I used to work with called me Dr. Kildare. And if you're old enough, don't admit that you know what that reference is. Okay, here we go. So they're talking like how they label evidence and stuff, and they had a lot of that clothing evidence. So as we know, the autopsies were done the 15th, and Olahai was the main crime scene investigator. Then he went to the autopsy on the 15th. So what do we see here? Again, I try and write as best I can. I do need to interpret my handwriting sometimes, so please give me a break. What is a case number? So Olahai said it's an identifying number. There's an individual number for each individual incident, AKA crime. He said, Luttrell said, are you familiar with the number 17K-00066? And Olahai said, because you said a K, that means what you're referencing is a lab case number. And then, because Luttrell wasn't supposed to reference that one. So then Luttrell said something like case 17, I couldn't hear some numbers, and I think he said 1748. And that was the original case number by Indiana State Police. Sorry. Okay, so it starts with 17, and that means the year was 2017. It has a C in that number. It's for a criminal matter. Then it has the actual case number. I know this isn't relevant, but I'm trying to give you guys as much detail about what happened. Not necessary to go through all items in detail, according to Luttrell. So I'm going to review some exhibit numbers. These are a variety of bags, including evidence. So number 137, he said it's a silk paper bag, and in it was a black and white Nike, size 10, found in Deer Creek, collected at the crime scene. Sergeant Cody packaged it after drying. Brian then got off the stand and he reviewed items from like right in front of the witness stand. He was standing there with Luttrell, going through this box of items that were evidence that were packaged individually. So I just said 37. I'm about to go through 138 through 150-ish. Yes, through 150. I'm not going to read like the same description over and over just to save time. So I'm just going to read the description of what these various things were. Hollister blue jeans, size 26-33. The following like 7 items or so were found in Deer Creek. So Hollister blue jeans, size 26-33. Color tone XL, extra large, tie-dye shirt. That's Libby's. Gray hooded sweatshirt. The brand was, I think, No Boundaries. He said, I guess the brand was maybe Sonoma. Pink underwear, black and purple sock, 1. Pink sock. So I think Abby had pink socks. Libby had black and purple. Gray headscarf, black spaghetti strap shirt. The brand was Faded Glory. I wrote, it was sad to see these items that these girls wore that day and never wore again. BH is Brian Oldhigh, took items from Ground Zero. So he processed the scene, which is known as Ground Zero. He took them straight to the Lafayette police post around when he left at 10:30 p.m. on the 14th. Next up, item 146 to 150, these were found at the crime scene, not in Deer Creek. So everything before was Deer Creek. Crime scene, Converse, right shoe, so that's Abby's. The left Converse shoe. And it was revealed at this time that each item and bag has a barcode on it for tracking. 40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge. Luttrell said several swabs were obtained from the bodies. So 149, I think Oldhigh said strand material on the finger on Abby's right hand. 150, strand material, Abby's left arm. Page 37 of 65. Oh my gosh. All right. Here we go. This is 151 through 169. Again, I'm not going to read like each number. I'm just trying to save time. So a lot of these that I'm about to read are crime scene swabs that were taken. So like they said yesterday, like swab, it might be a cotton. They do it briskly over a body part, trying to collect skin cells or DNA or something, whatever. So number 151 was a swab inside Libby's left wrist. Swab inside Libby's right wrist, above Libby's belly button. Sorry, it sounds like I have a cold. Above Libby's belly button, Libby's thigh above her knee. There was a strand of fiber on Libby's left pinky hand. Blood stain on the tree about 4 feet up. Black Nike shoe under Abby's body. Swab the area of blood on the ground in between markers number 3 and 4. So they put down these like blue, maybe flags to say like where evidence was. So that's markers 3 and 4. Another swab, ground near Libby's feet, a red color, presumed blood. Below Libby's head, near tree with blood, presumed blood. Oh, so the tree with blood is the F tree, quote unquote. So there's some presumed blood taken from that. Presumed blood between a tree and Abby. Another swab was red stain on the ground under Abby's head. Swab from the tree, a red stain. I think the top of the tree, north side of the tree. Red stain, tree, lower, stain. Libby's left index finger. Libby's left pinky. Number 168, cell phone, iPhone. It was put into temporary storage. Next up, 169, Sergeant Gilbert was the supervisor of Brian Oldhigh. He took swab standards from the cell phone. before the tech person checked the data, they swabbed the phone, and once they got whatever samples, then they had the tech guy extract the data. Luttrell said, on the morning of February 15th, you went to Terre Haute for the autopsies. Get phone examination on 15th. On the 14th, all items were in temporary storage at the Lafayette police post, and there's limited access to that room, limited number of keys. I think he mentioned like 2 to 4 people have access to that room. So Sergeant Gilbert swabbed the phone before the data retrieval. February 16th, due at post. I guess he said, so Luttrell asked Olahai, on the 16th, what did you do at the Lafayette police post? Complete sealing, packaging, labeling, receipts, gave evidence to the clerk, who gave them each like bag and evidence, unique number and a barcode was placed on the bag. From ground zero, items in individual packages. Yeah, so at the crime scene, they put them in individual packages. It seems like they did. I know we have issues with how law enforcement acted, but it seemed like they processed the scene, at least collecting this type of evidence fairly well. You went to the autopsy on the 15th. On the 16th, you began packaging and sealing the evidence, correct. Do you do packaging and the stickers one at a time? Yes. Luttrell, exhibits 146 to 69 were admitted into evidence. At the autopsy, you collected items with Brienne Mullen, who's also law enforcement, and he said correct. So exhibits 170 to 173. So 170 was a swab at the autopsy, Libby's left thigh, Libby's right thigh, Libby's right breast, Libby's left breast. That's 170 to 173. There were 2 boxes, items 174, 175. Sexual assault evidence collection kit includes swabs and other stuff. Dr. Kohr, K-O-H-R, completed these sexual assault kits. One of them was Abby, one Libby. They did not mention the results. However, we'll get into DNA. They said nothing, none of Rick's DNA matched the crime scene. Item evidence exhibit 176. Trace fiber collected, Abby's upper left arm. Luttrell said items that Mullen collected at the autopsy were for drying purposes at Putnamville, P-U-T-N-A-M-V-I-L-L-E, which has a drying room, which is for drying evidence, which is better than what they have at the Lafayette police post. Or Lafayette? 177, black hooded sweatshirt. Delphi swimming on the front had red stains. Autopsy. They also had at the autopsy blue jeans, extra large, had red stains. Pink sleeveless shirt, red stains. Item 180, gray cotton bra, size 34, Fruit of the Loom is the brand. 181, a black bra, size 34A, red stains. So a lot of us wonder, did Abby have on Libby's bra? But it seems like these 2 bras that were on Abby were size 34 and 34A. You make the conclusion. So those items were just submitted into evidence. They were passed to jury 146, 147, 148, which I can't even see what those were. Anyway, just as samples to see what the evidence looked like. They did not like take them out. They were just looking at the bags. Oh, so there was a short break. I saw Baldwin whispering to Rick, and Rick was going, I think it's like, so Baldwin's over here on his right ear, and Rick was going like this. Don't know what it means, if he thought it was going to come out the other end or what, I don't know. That, whatever, keep it moving. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. Yeah, so the jury was actually still there as this was like, I don't want to say playing out. There's just like some kind of break. I forget why. So Baldwin had his arm around Rick's chair, just like this, not touching Rick, but the back of his chair. Just a little insight. Moving along, Luttrell, show Brian Olahai photo, exhibit 123 of the autopsy. Abby had some of her clothing removed. So she was found at the crime scene with with clothing. At the autopsy, they started to like lift up clothing to see various other injuries that might be visible. She was wearing pink sleeveless shirt under the sweatshirt. Did you notice lines or discoloration at the top of, I guess, this pink sleeveless shirt? Olahai said yes, it indicated moisture and wetness. And Luttrell says the sweatshirt was damp. Yes, damp at autopsy. Can you see moisture better at autopsy? Yes, on lower part of Abby's shirt. Why did you have Mullen take items to Putnamville? The drying room for the drying room, preserve evidence from decaying or degrading. Like I just said, they have a room that's better than other places, other police posts. Are you familiar with the cartridge? What do you call the end of the cartridge? Olahai said the primer end is the headstand. Did the cartridge, hold on. Oh yeah, so he said, did the cartridge, was it a Winchester, Smith & Wesson, 40 caliber? Yes. And from the PCA or something, Rick had Winchester and Blazer at his house. No more questions from Luttrell. Here comes Rosie. I have a comment about Rosie coming up in parentheses. Let me take a drink. Here we go. Yeah, so if you're just joining, seriously, I never say like stay tuned, but stay tuned for the next like hour and a half because there's some stuff you need to hear. Yeah. Rosie to Brian. Smith & Wesson is one of the most common cartridges. No. It's funny when the attorneys like say, this is common, and the witness is like, nope, you tried it, I denied it. Okay, moving on. What does that say? A lot of exhibits. Exhibit 151, I guess Rosie said you just showed a lot of stuff, which was true. Exhibit 151, swab left breast of Libby. Was that used for DNA purposes? Yes. Any information from that connect, let me start it over. Does any information from that connect Richard Allen to the crime scene? Not that I'm aware. So some of these I am kind of paraphrasing. Sometimes the witness would say, not that I'm aware of, and I would just write no. So I'm not getting it perfect, but what I'm saying is close enough to the truth just to give you an idea of the answer. Okay. 152, swab Libby's wrist. Any connection to Rick? Not that I'm aware of. Okay, there's like 4 more things. So Rosie just kept saying the swab of Libby's belly, knee, tree stain, ground, the ground near Libby's foot. Did any of those connect Richard Allen to the crime scene? The answer was no to everything. Luttrell objected, saying Olahai was not involved in analysis is inappropriate, Gull sustained. Rosie, I'm asking if he's aware. Luttrell, it's not relevant if he was aware. Overall, first objection, sustain on relevance. Yeah, I don't understand some of this stuff. We're moving along. Page, wait, let me make sure I'm not missing a page. Here we go. Page 39 of 65. Swab collection. This is Rosie still asking Brian. Swab collection. Ever speak with an analyst about results? No recollection having a direct conversation about results of these swabs and DNA matching Rick or not matching Rick. Along similar lines, did you ever have a discussion about the bullet with somebody? Never had conversation with analyst. Conversation with anyone is what Rosie said. I guess Luttrell objected, failed to see relevance. Gull said, perhaps for another witness. So I guess she said to Rosie, maybe ask these questions to another witness in the future. Rosie, he talked about maintaining confidentiality, integrity of crime scene, and investigation is important. I guess Olahai hopefully agreed. Some of the stuff you can't hear the answers, unfortunately. Don't want things to be revealed to the public. And Olahai said, yes, that's possible. Rosie said, I wrote, Rosie gets easily agitated like a child. Moving along. Anyone suggest photos of, did anyone, Rosie again, anyone suggest photos of secure, excuse me, sorry. Did anyone suggest photos of the crime scene were taken by the public? Not that I'm aware of. Taken by the search party? No knowledge. Rosie said something about knowledge, but I couldn't hear what he said, sorry. When you got to the scene, were there unique characteristics? Latrell objected and it was sustained. Were there unique circumstances? Olahai said every crime scene is unique. Rosie said, well, one girl was naked, yes. One girl was dressed, yes. Sticks were on the bodies. Did it seem intentional? Yes. Attempt at concealment is what Olahai followed that up with. Did you ever assume the sticks on the bodies were an attempt to communicate some kind of message? No, it did not seem to have any significance in the position. Very little parts of the bodies were concealed though. Yes, not completely covered. Did you find one stick that had man-made cut? No. Did you collect sticks on March 14th? I think Rosie meant February 14th. The answer was no. I wrote outside normal, and the answer was yes. Maybe just like leaving these sticks outside and not collecting them, is that normal? And I guess Olahai said yes. Then Rosie said, well, then did somebody suggest you go back to collect? Yes. Did you have he said, did the conservation officer suggest that? I don't know. Are you aware of the original source of clothing on Abby? I don't know official determination. One of the pieces of clothing had German on the back. So that's Libby's Delphi swimming sweatshirt had her last name German on the back. Olahai continued, sizing is more consistent for Libby on like the jeans and the sweatshirt. Is it a logical assumption that Libby disrobed? Yes. Any assumptions on chronology about how they, I guess, remove their clothes? It would be speculative. Any assumptions on how they got to the location or something like that? Not able to determine. Where did the sticks come from? Olahai said one of the largest pieces, something I couldn't hear, and something about an indentation. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what he said. Page 40 of 65. Did you do testing on the type of tree, I guess of the F tree? No. Shoe impressions around ground zero and other side of the bridge and the bank of Deer Creek. The question was, were there any? And Olahai said yes. Were there signs of foot traffic? Yes, there was a large search on the 13th. Could that have compromised the crime scene walking around? That's right. Did you ever determine where the impressions came from? No. Other witness said there was a shoe impression. I'm not familiar with that. Did you find an impression the size of a girl, like a shoe impression? No. Did you make any effort to learn more about the impressions? I'm not aware, but there were photographs taken. How about fingerprints? Were there any good substrates? Actually, Rosie may have asked about fingerprints. I wrote no good substrates, but I may have been questioning whether that was what I truly heard with substrates. The forest, they're out in the forest and nature with sticks and clothing. It's not good to be able to get any kind of fingerprints off of those items like nature, sticks, clothing. High bridge, tree limb. That's a reminder to go to sleep at 5:45. Let me back that thing up. Something about high bridge. Oh yeah, something I think he maybe said as they were going down from the high bridge down the hill. Maybe he said, was there a tree or limb that they would grab that could have gotten like some kind of DNA? Olahai said, not that I'm aware of. There's a barrier at the end of the bridge near the Weber property, the south end. Did you collect anything up there? Not by me. How about the F tree, the tree with blood? They're talking about the amount of blood on the quote unquote F tree. Rosie said, that's a fairly large size of blood. And Olahai said, presumed blood. And Rosie said, that tree has garnered some attention. And Olahai said, the entire case has. Rosie said, there's a vertical line, pretty straight, which I do agree with that. The F or whatever, I do agree it's vertical and it's fairly straight. So Rosie said, vertical line is pretty straight. Olahai said, I never took a compass to get the angle or straightness. Did you ever look and think, that looks straight? He replied, large contact flow. Did you attempt to preserve any part of that tree? No, just taking photos. Are you aware about a blood spatter expert hired by the prosecution this year? Yes. Was a blood spatter expert available to you in 2017? I believe so. Sergeant Page, who testified yesterday, was one of the 4 guys in the ground zero crime scene investigator. Olahai said he's qualified as an expert for blood spatter. I think that's what he said. I just wrote Sergeant Page qualified as expert. After you left the scene, did you employ a blood spatter expert? I did not hear the answer. So he said, I think Rosie was saying, like, couldn't a blood spatter expert help with the chronology? He said, I'm not aware of the techniques, but it would be helpful to know how the blood flowed with their clothing on or with their clothing off. So Rosie was kind of saying, wouldn't it be helpful to have a blood spatter expert, like, look at the clothes to see were they stabbed cut when they're still wearing clothes or when they're off? So he said, wouldn't it be helpful to know how blood flowed with clothing? Olahai agreed, yes. Not much disturbance from outside factors. I guess like from these buzzards and stuff like that. So they're saying about the bodies, if they were there on the afternoon of the 13th at 3 p.m. and not found until almost like 20 hours or so after they were supposedly killed, there was no like insects or what they call turkey buzzards or whatever. Like, I don't want to be graphic, but later Rosie said something about roadkill. We usually have these birds who try and eat it, but there's nothing disturbed about Abby and Libby's bodies by animals. So Rosie said, not much disturbance outside factors. Olahai said, not aware. Rosie, do you worry about stuff like that? Olahai said something about disturbance. I couldn't hear. They have a microphone, but we were told that it's just for the court reporter. But today, some guy like sat up straight close to the microphone and we could hear it being amplified, although previously they told us it's not used for amplification and we can't hear what the hell they're talking about sometimes. So that's fun. Moving along. In terms of time, you acknowledge you couldn't determine time of death. Olahai said it's an imprecise science, couldn't determine. Latrell objected, and Rosie moved on. Rosie said, did it happen between, I guess he said, were the girls murdered between the 13th and the time they were found on the 14th? And Olahai said, yes. Water levels. Did you go in the creek to determine the levels? He spoke to the dive team, but they did not have a ruler. The bottom of Deer Creek is not flat. It's undulating. He said it could go from 1 inch to 3 feet. Rosie, the area closer to the north shoreline is deeper. Olahai said areas change on a daily basis. Page 41 of 65. On the 14th, though, you would agree Deer Creek was deeper. In some areas, yes. Any location on North Shore, one or more individuals, what does that say? Traveled up. So Rosie's asking, when you looked at the north side of Deer Creek, was there any indication one or more people walked up that side of the creek? Not conclusively. Rosie asked Olahai if he's a hunter, and he said yes. Is it unusual to find spent or unspent rounds in a wooded area? Olahai said a .40 caliber round is unusual to see out in the woods. He'd more expect a shotgun round to like shoot animals. Is it unusual finding a spent or unspent round in a wooded lot? It's not unusual anywhere in Indiana. Welcome to Indiana. I haven't been shot at yet. Is it unusual finding people firing handguns in the woods? I didn't hear that answer. I'm not saying. Somebody told me that they do shoot their handguns in the woods. Moving along. Something about people go out and shoot in the woods. Olahai said they may. I missed the next question. Rosie said, you have a 6 Sauer. I do not. Did you? He then said, I had a 6 Sauer 227 45 caliber. Something about other 6 Sauer handguns. Olahai said, I'm not familiar with the models. Rosie said 227 365 are 6 Sauer models. Or maybe the 227 is 6 Sauer, 365, maybe some other brand. So 227 365 models, are those similar how they're designed? Not at all. Do you know about the inside of these guns? Beyond basic, no. Do you know how they're manufactured? No, I defer to an expert. Next up is Rosie continuing. Exhibit 78 is a photo of the north side of the creek. Taken from the north side, there's debris on the top, center, and bottom. Rosie said, are those locations where the items were collected? Yes. Could conclude items came from upstream. Possible. Know where they came from? I don't know. Scope of search. Did you acknowledge where 300 North is? Or do you acknowledge that 300 North is like, I guess, above the cemetery? Yes. Were you ever asked to inspect north of 300? No. Do you know where the Mears connector is? Which I think that's what Rosie says for the Mears parking lot. So do you know where Mears connector is? No. Or I don't know if he means the intersection. Anyway, Olahai doesn't know, and neither do I. The trail in 2017 on 300 North that cuts into the trail near middle. I don't know. That's what Olahai said. Did you search for clothing near Hoosier Heartland Highway? I cannot hear the answer, but I assume it was no. Do you know where CPS is? No. Exhibit 5. What's that? I think it's the Google Earth picture of like the whole area, like Hoosier Heartland Highway down to the crime scene and cemetery. So, Exhibit 5, 300 North. Did you search north of 300 North? No. They referenced Anderson's, which is, I think, across from CPS. It's the like large building that has a long, I'm going the wrong way, like a long white thing. It might have some silos. So that's like Anderson's. It's a company. So there's some kind of reference to Anderson Grain Elevator. Did you search that area? No. There's a farmhouse north of 300 North. Highbridge Trail meets. Are you familiar with the Mears connector? And did you ever search that area? No. Rosie also added, did you search that area for discarded items or clothing? The answer is no. Next up, Rosie said, Exhibit 148, the magic bullet. Objection. Latrell heard magic bullet and objected. Gull said it was improper of Rosie to call it a magic bullet. So Gull, I wrote, Gull, improper, how relevant? Use identity 148. Your characterization is improper, and I agree. I mean, just call it 148, not the magic bullet. I guess Rosie said it's a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber. You saw 6 to 7 photos taken of this unspent round at the crime scene. Have you seen any more than the 6 to 7 photos taken of the bullet unspent round at the crime scene? No, he has not seen more than 6 to 7 photos of it. Page 42 of 65. Do you acknowledge there are no photos of the ground after the unspent round was removed? Olhai said, I believed the photos showed it, not aware of close-up from after removed. So obviously this unspent round was like kind of pushed or stepped on. I think it could have been stepped on. So it like shows the head stamp side in these photos, but when they pulled it out, the prosecution has an issue that they did not videotape it, pulling it out. So how is the jury supposed to know that what is in this photo is what's in the evidence? Also, the defense is saying, after you pulled it out, you really didn't do a close-up of where it was just pushed into. So let me review that one more time. Do you acknowledge there are no photos of the ground after the round was removed? And Olhai said, I believe photos show, not aware of close-up after remove. So I guess like from far away, it may have shown it. Latrell, it's ULL. Objection, asked and answered. The next thing I wrote was acknowledge no photos. So I guess Rosie kept it moving. Do you acknowledge there are not photos of the round after it was removed? I'm not aware. Would you agree that it would have been helpful? Objection from Latrell, sustained by Gull. Is it important to document? Yes. Is it important to preserve information? Yes. This item was a significant find, potentially. Do you agree you did a poor job in collection? Objection from Latrell, form of a question, sustained by Gull. You took more pics, or sometimes I wrote pics instead of photos just for shorter. You took more photos of the round, not particularly. Do you think it's unprofessional to pick up and take a photo of a piece of evidence? Yeah, well, I'll get to that. So what he's saying is, this is my dinner for tonight. Is it unprofessional for me as a crime scene investigator to see this at a crime scene and like, I guess go like this and have like me in the photo with the holding the piece of evidence? Because we'll get to that in a second. Should I eat it? Do you agree it's unprofessional to pick up and take a photo of evidence? Olhai agreed that this one guy in the photo, I think he's holding up one of the pink socks of Abby's. So he has like, you don't see his face, but it's like maybe his chest down. I don't know if he's holding both sides of like a big clear bag, but he's holding one sock, like a pink sock. So I guess he should have like taken the photo like when it was on the ground or something. I'm not sure, but not like while holding it. Exhibit 182 is someone holding a sock. No face is shown in the photo. Olhai said, yes, it's kind of unprofessional. It would not have been my preferred method. Oh, wait, sorry. I'll start again, sorry. Exhibit 182, someone holding a sock, but their face is not in the screen. Would you agree that's unprofessional? Olhai said, it would not be my preferred method, but it is not unprofessional. You mentioned you inspected Libby's wrist for defensive wounds. Did you discover defensive wounds on Libby's body? No. So that was Rosie. Now it's time for Latrell, asking Olhai more questions. How many items and ammunition were collected so how many items that were ammunition were collected at ground zero? 1. How many ammunition were collected at the entire crime scene? 1. Of all evidence you collected, how many were ammunition? 1. Packaging evidence, have you had other cases? Okay, so here's what he's talking about. So Latrell asked, like, when you go to the evidence room and package up this evidence and stuff, like, and seal it, is there evidence from other cases you're working on in the room and in the area at the same time? And the answer was no. Rosie asked you, is it most important to preserve evidence? Olahai said, documentation of the scene and preservation of items are like the most important thing for the crime scene. After you photographed the cartridge in the ground, and did you put it in a package? That's correct. He said something about Latrell said something about a 45 caliber. I missed that part, but then he said, would you confuse a 45 caliber and a 40 caliber? I don't believe so. Latrell said something about the girl's overnight condition. Were you surprised not to find critter activity? So for people who are outside of the United States and don't speak English, critter is like raccoons and skunks and small animals. So Olahai said, I would not be surprised not to find critter activity at the crime scene overnight. I think Latrell said, how would you expect to find the crime scene? I would expect to find it in similar condition to how we found it. I think that's what he said. Page 43 of 65. Rosie came back. I couldn't understand what he said. He said something like, would you expect something? And Olahai's answer was, he said, Olahai was talking about, Rosie was talking about, would there be insects around the bodies? Because as we know, like flies would go onto maybe dead bodies. So I think that was what Rosie was trying to get at. So would you expect there to be like flies or insects around dead bodies that had been there for almost a day? Olahai said, insect activity is not common in February. No insect activity was discovered at the crime scene. Rosie said, well, have you ever seen a turkey buzzard around roadkill? It's common to see like birds eating a deer that gets hit by a car on the side of the road. Olahai said, sometimes. You collected only one round. Yes. Rosie said, could have something, I'm sorry, I missed it. Maybe he said again about these photos and doing a close-up. Do you wish you had taken more photos of the round? Olahai said, no, we identified the firearm used based on the photos. Do you wish you had taken more photos that were a close-up of the round area? We took 5 to 6 photos, and he said, I think 2 to 3 were close up. Did you take or see a photo of the round under the leaves? The answer was 1 round was visible, or 1 visible. I'm not sure what that means. Next up were jury questions. So if you're new to my lovely channel, in Indiana, so the way it's been going, the prosecution asks questions of the defense. What? I'm so tired. The prosecution asks the witness questions. Then the defense asks. Then the prosecution will follow up if they have more questions. Defense, they keep going back and forth until both the prosecution and defense say, I don't have any more questions. At that time, Judge Gull asked the jury, do you have any questions you want to ask this witness? So as people on the jury are listening, they'll write down on a piece of paper and they'll hand it to the bailiff, who hands it to Judge Gull. She reads them. Sometimes, I think after she gets the jury questions, she'll meet 2 of the lawyers from each side. It's like 1 prosecutor, 1 defense. And maybe they'll like talk about some of the jury questions before she actually goes back to the bench and reads the jury questions. So we have 5 jury questions for Brian. Yeah, so I wrote here, there was a break with the white noise. So Gull pushes a button and it goes shh, like for 3 minutes sometimes. It's not that annoying, like me. Okay, number 1. Did undergrowth appear to be disrupted under Abby's body to indicate she was dressed while she laid on the ground dead? No, there was not. I think he said no, maybe a small amount of undergrowth appeared disrupted. Jury question number 2. When evidence tested, how is it logged and resealed in the same bag? The top portion is sealed with Brian's initials, and he has his own seal. The bottom is also sealed by him. So if they have to open this envelope, which they usually use paper envelopes, he said they will open the side with a sharp edge like an X-Acto knife or sharp scissors. Then, like if an analyst or chemist reviews evidence, they reseal it. Luttrell said, "Do you recognize the initials SB?" And Brian said, "I'm sure I spelled her name wrong, but I think I pronounced it right. Stacy Bozovsky. Come on down. What is your experience if deliver a package that's not fully sealed?" And basically, I think they said, the clerk says, you need to seal that or I'm not accepting it as evidence. Properly sealed. Juror question number 3. Is it common practice to change your gloves when you're handling evidence? Yes, Brian said. I go through boxes of gloves at crime scenes, and he always likes to wear 2 gloves because if he only wears one, he said his hands get sweaty and it's hard to like pull them off. So with 2 pairs, it's easy just to pull off the top pair and then just replace it. Juror question number 4. The way they wrote it was the bullet collected in an envelope or a pill box? Envelope was the answer. Juror question number 5. What identifies which items are opened by the lab? I guess, how do they know which items were opened by the lab? Maybe later. So I guess Brian said seal/resealed by an analyst with their initials. So I think Baldwin then said, wait, I wrote B, or no, that's Rosie. I'm sorry. So Rosie said, would you agree Exhibit 148 is similar to 151? Then there was some kind of objection. And I guess Rosie continued, said, would item 145, I just said 148. I'm sorry, some of the stuff I can't read. Would one item be treated the same as item 151? The answer was all evidence. The answer was they would. So all evidence is treated the same. Rosie, I guess, said, would there also be a log sheet that chronicles where evidence travels, like from when it's collected to court today? Yes, there is a chain of custody log. I guess Rosie asked Brian, have you ever seen that log? No, it's not common for him to see something like that. So we took a 15-minute break and I wrote, Rick stood up. So I guess the jury leaves during these longer 15-minute breaks. So there's like usually a break about halfway between the morning session and halfway during the afternoon session. Rick stand. So weird. I wonder what he's thinking. He's not weird. I'm just saying I'm weird. It's just weird seeing him being accused of doing this and apparently saying he did it, which for up to this point to this morning, I've not seen anything by the prosecution that would make me vote him today that Rick is guilty. But then some things happened in the afternoon that made me think he's guilty and some things that made me think he's innocent. Stay tuned for 45 minutes from now. So I just think it's weird. Like he's just like standing around and he's accused of like murdering these kids and it's his trial. He looked at me, immediately turned away. That's that. We started again at 11:05. Exhibit 182 is the Google Earth like satellite image with topography. It was given to the jury and it was also exhibited or admitted yesterday during testimony. Next witness. I have to change my thing. I'm changing the banner at the bottom so people who join can know who the hell I'm talking about. Or hack, sorry. Reviewing testimony of Indiana State Police Trooper Brian Bunner. Started at 11:05. I'm on page 43 of 65. I'm just going to read. Witness, Trooper Brian Bunner. He's been with Indiana State Police for 24 years. His resume is Exhibit 185, was given to the jury. Digital Forensic Examiner. Page 44 of 65. Can you I guess this is Latrell asking him, can you outline your progression through Indiana State Police during your career? Can you hear that train? They do that at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I need to speak to the manager. Okay, Bunner's career, Cybercrime Unit 2009, was later renamed to Digital Forensic Unit. The train's still going. They talked about something about network intrusion, which I'll get to that in a second. Digital forensic, what is the, digital forensics is the overall discipline, but they also look at cell phones, internet, incident response, network intrusion. That's that. Brian specialized in computers and cell phones. I think Latrell said, like, what kind of equipment do you use to analyze this stuff? A variety of programs, including Celebrite, which is like probably the most famous cell phone extraction software. He mentioned about 3 other software, which I'm not sure that I got these right, possibly with the names Magna, Axiom, which I know that's one's right, and the last one may have been X-Ways. How many phones have you extracted data from? Hundreds, possibly over 1,000. You have testified as an expert at trials. Yes. Cell phone forensic process and extraction. In 2017, I'm not sure if this is him talking. I think this is, what's the name? Another Brian? Brian talking about in 2017 what his process was to examine phones and extract the data. He would do a manual exam, I think it was just like looking at the phone, see the condition, digital camera photo. Oh, so he has a digital camera and he would take photos of the outside of the phone that he's about to extract from. Open the phone, serial number. So he's taking pictures of the serial number, names of accounts in the phone, all the different apps on the phone, extract data, and then do a report for investigators based on this report from these various software. I wrote Nick, so I guess McClelland is actually asking him this, not Latrell. What's the first thing you examine on the outside of a phone? So Brian would take photos and then of the case and then remove the case if the phone has a case. Take photos of the SIM card, SIM card, which if you don't know what it is, don't worry. Pics of what he sees on the phone screen. Snapchat. He took pics of Snapchat on Libby's phone. Tom wrote, Nick McClelland is the best at asking organized questions. Every other attorney, Latrell, Diener, Baldwin, Auger, and Rosie are all like, I don't want to say fumbling, but like McClelland is like this question, this question, this question, this question, which, good job, Nick. No, I'm not working for the prosecution. Don't believe the hype. McClelland continued, how do you know which software to use? It depends on the make and model of the phone. When extract data? I don't know what that says. I wrote when extract data. The answer was get exact copy of the phone. Put in another program to decipher the information that you just extracted, like contacts on the phone calls that were made, photos and videos. So McClelland said, but that raw data that you get from the extraction is just like a bunch of, I don't know if it's called code, but it's like ones and zeros. It's like whatever. If you know, you know. So the extraction is not the actual phone stuff. It's like in this raw data with the numbers 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. And the way that those ones and zeros are in order somehow gets translated into photos and images, I think. Moving back to McClelland. So you need a program to decipher that raw data. Yes. What do you do with the information? I make a report. There are 4 different ways: a PDF, Excel spreadsheet. We love spreadsheets. That's what I thought. HTML, which is not connected to the internet, but it's essentially looking at the data through a web browser like Edge, Safari. He did not mention Google Chrome, but same thing. Oh, the last thing was something case. And I wrote small X case. I wasn't sure about the 4th way to present the report. So what do you do with the info? What programs can read the raw data? That was that question and answer. Next was from McClelland. So you retrieve text, photos, videos, and app activity. Yes, all goes in the report. In 2017, you were a digital forensic examiner in Indianapolis cybercrime unit. Yes. How did you get involved in this case? I was told there was a phone in this crime, and somebody brought it to his office on February 15th, the day after the girls were found. He took photos of the outside of Libby's phone. So next up are exhibits 186 to 199, photos that Brian Bunner took of Libby's phone. And those photos were given to the jury in like a packet. Next up, reviewing the photos. 186, it was the packaging and the phone inside the packaging. Next up was a property record and receipt, I guess, to show that the evidence was logged. 188, 189, front and back of phone. 190, 191, the case was removed from Libby's phone. He took a photo of the back of the phone and a close-up of the model number. It was an iPhone 6S. 192, the SIM card, and it's from AT&T, which is the phone company in America. 193, 194 was screen lock. The phone had a lock and code. Next, I wrote unlocked at home page. Phone was powered off when he got it. The battery was dead. Only 20 more pages. We're still in the morning, people. So yeah, whatever. I have a lot more talking to do. Page 45 of 65. So Brian got the code, I guess, from the family to access Libby's phone. McClelland. So you opened the settings and apps. Yes. Back to exhibit 195. He took a photo using his like high quality camera of Libby's settings, and the name of the phone was Liberty's iPhone. Next photo, settings iCloud, and it showed her iCloud email address. Next up was a photo of Libby's Apple ID to use iTunes and the App Store, Apple App Store, to like download new apps. She had to use her Apple ID. 198, settings for iMessage. So it was discussed that there's regular text messages and iMessage, which is short for like the Apple iPhone stuff. I wrote down both were used for one message, but that might be some misinterpretation by me. What was said? 199, settings for Snapchat. Snapchat settings menu, Liberty, and liberty.german was the username. Photo 206, or exhibit 206, is photo of the settings general. The time zone on her phone was Indianapolis Eastern. It was set to set automatically according to the cell phone tower. So McClelland said, how does cell tower get the time? AT&T synced the time with the phone. After physical examination, what do you do next? Extract data with Celebrite, and he used Celebrite on a daily basis. What types of data would you get? Depends. Got messages, calls, voicemails, internet history, photos, videos, etc. So this next part is kind of confusing, and actually Brian was kind of confused, I think. So, like I said, Celebrite, my face looks ridiculous. Anyway, the sun is changing. Anyway, so Celebrite is this software. And over the years, since 2017, they've upgraded and gotten better. So there's different methods that have been used over the years. And in 2017, it was referred to, I think, as Method 1. And then soon after, Celebrate had Method 2 and 3. So what am I talking about? So McClelland said, you used Method 1 technique to extract from Libby's phone. Yes. Why is it called that? I don't know. How is it different from other extractions? Later, we used Method 2 and 3. That's that. And then he was talking about how an iPhone is different extraction. But he said for an iPhone, they use a computer and I guess some kind of wire to extract the data and connect to Celebrate. So on February 15th, you used Method 1. Yes, Celebrate used that. What blank space get? I couldn't hear what he said. So what something did you get? The answer, extractions. Report was several hundred pages, but Brian did not go through each page. He put it in a report form, I guess like the most important stuff that he thought, and gave it to investigators. Why not take time to go through the full report? It takes weeks, months, years to review line by line, and he needed to get it to investigators as soon as possible. So a new name, Trooper Moat, I'm not sure how you spell it. So Trooper Moat got the report from Brian, who rushed it back to investigators. That was a question from McClelland. Yes was the answer. What did you look at? Mostly like the prior 2 days before the murders. So like he looked at Libby's phone to see like recent 2 days, photos, videos, texts, calls. Did you look at her camera roll? Yes. Celebrate showed a video was taken in the last day or two. Objection, leading, Gull sustains. Why did you go to video? It was the last one on Libby's timeline. Found 213 video. So we're going to play the video. Exhibit 200 is this video, this 43-second video that's been talked about for so long. It was finally shown in court. I need to do a photo of the court to show you guys like who sits where. Today in the morning, Tom, so here's, oh God, like at the front is Judge Gull, prosecution on left, defense on right, jury on the front right. What the hell's that? Then there's a barrier, and like Rick is like here in the middle. He's on the very left of the defense table, and like Jerry Holman is like right next to him, like, hey Rick. So then there's like the media gets the front row. Libby's and Abby's families on the second row left, Rick's family second row right, and then the nosy people from the public in right or the third and fourth rows. Then there's room in the back that has more space for people who like people can't get in. Anyway, what am I saying? Okay, so today, so there's a row, there's like an aisle. There's 4 rows with 9 seats on each side. Today, I was in the back left against the wall. So the TV is for the jury. It's a huge TV. So I saw the back of the TV when they finally played Libby's 43-second video. But after the break, the lunch break, I made sure my ass was sitting on the right side And I did see the video, which I'll get to in like 45 minutes. Okay, so these are my audio interpretations of Libby's 43-second video. It's exhibit 200. Okay, I wrote audio. So I thought I heard a girl say the word path, P-A-T-H. Then I wrote gravel, G-R-A-V-E-L. So I heard like somebody walking on the gravel. From what I saw later, it was Libby walking on the gravel. I thought I heard her say, there's no path going there. Then I wrote ... I think I wrote more gravel sound. Then I heard, guys, and I wrote, it sounded far away. And then I wrote, huh, which I said that way too loud. I wrote H-U-H, but in the afternoon, when I heard it again, I thought maybe it was Libby saying, hi. So I hear guys, like in the distance away from the phone. I don't know how to do this, but maybe like, huh? I wrote that it was somewhat scared, huh, or hi. Then I wrote click sound at end possibly, but it's not like the gun clicking. It may have been the phone or the video being stopped. The timestamp they said was 2:13. I wrote, I did not hear I did not hear go down the hill. Next page, 46 of 65. I could not see Rick's reaction to this video being played. I did not see. McClellan to Brian. How do timestamps work on the phone? Brian just said time standard. When you do a cell phone extraction, is it true and accurate of what is on the phone? Yes. Once viewed video, what did you do? Brian sent it with Trooper Moat and the report to investigators and enhancement guy. McClelland, so there was an attempt to enhance. Brian says, I did not. I took screenshots and I viewed the video on the VLC player, which is like a famous video player for computers. Exhibits 201 to 205 were screenshots of the video paused, and there's a reflection. Oh, it's not my, whatever. Here, the sun setting. 201 to 205 are screenshots from Libby's paused video, and the jury got these these packets, the printouts of that. So McClellan said, are the screenshots in chronological order? Yes, but what the jury has are not in chronological order. The chronological order is item or photo 205, and then 201 to 204 are in order. Exhibit 205, you see a man behind Abby. No. In 201 to 204, you can see the man. Yes. Did you follow that? If not, rewind it and you'll figure it out. Rewind my video, not that. After you gave the phone to Trooper Moat, what did you examine? Did you examine it again? Yes, February 21st. Other phones were examined at that point. The first time, I'm just paraphrasing, he said the first time he did it quickly, wanted to use more tools to get more data on February 21st. This may be Brian continued. I wrote programs, lantern, black light. I have a space and the word soft. I couldn't hear the first part of it. Axiom, and another one maybe wired. He also looked at Libby's iTunes backup, iTunes iCloud extraction. Nothing was found that was more relevant or nothing new since the previous extraction. There was a third time he did it. September 5th, 2017, he got the phone back. Celebrate method 2 and 3 could now get more information. So McClelland asked about method 2, anything new? Brian said, some new, minimal, nothing relevant to case. Method 3. Brian said something like, beyond Indiana State Police capabilities, so they shipped to Homeland Security in Washington, D.C., and got a new report. Did you examine it again? Yes, in 2019. Or was the phone examined again? Yes, in 2019, Sergeant Chris Cecil. Why? There was new technology that extracted more data. Nick had no more questions. So here comes Jennifer Auger for the defense. You said you sent you said that you sent the phone for method 3 after method 2. Brian said yes. Auger said, but method 2 was October 12th, 2017. Brian said, I'll have to look. Auger said method 3 you sent to Homeland Security, and Brian said Homeland Security and U.S. Customs merged into one agency. So he said he sent off the phone on September 5th, 2017. That may have been the date of the report, which I agree with Auger. It seems like September 5th, 2017 and October 12th, 2017 are obviously, it's like, how were they using method 3 before method 2? Next up, yeah, that was confusing. Auger shows pictures of the phone. Exhibit 186, envelope with the phone in it when received. It's labeled with a Post-it note on the outside of the envelope. Is it normal for chain of custody to just put a Post-it note on it? McClelland, can we approach the bench, Judge Gull? So I think McClelland, Auger, and Gull talked in the corner. Page 47 to 65. So yeah, so they were in the corner. So then Gull comes back and says, the parties have stipulated the chain of custody, ... I couldn't hear what she said. So Auger says, Celebrate has levels of certification for police officers who train on Celebrate to get certification. Brian said, state police does not have any certifications or require them. Auger, method 1 extraction on February 15th. Oh, she said it's like over the hood information, like just like the most basic information. And she referenced advanced logical extraction. She continued, is there a logical, advanced logical, or different levels of extraction? Yes. What is the difference? It depends on the phone. Show defense exhibit M as in Mary. Can you identify that? It's the front page of the PDF extraction report. Celebrate automatically generates what say? What? I wrote Celebrate automatically generates what say? Question mark. Brian's answer was logical method 1. Can you perform a full file system extraction? Yes, you can. No, Brian said you can now in 2024. Could you in 2017 too? No. But you did a full file in October 2017. Brian's answer was not in February 2017. Auger, method 3 gets all the information, correct? Brian, not just one program can get all of the data off of one phone. So like Celebrate is not the only thing that can be used. He also needs to use a few other programs. Oh, here comes the train again. Auger said, things like powering on a phone and current power loss / battery health. The answer was yes. Or I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what this was about. I might just have to read what I wrote and you can try and interpret it. Things like power on, comma, current power loss / battery health, question mark. I wrote yes underneath, but then I wrote knowledge C database. Brian said in 2017, the police did not know about this knowledge C database, which they're about to talk more about. So Auger says, was knowledge C included in the 2017 report? We didn't know at that time about knowledge C. You had that program in October 2017, right? No. Was it not available? Or you did not see it? We did not know about knowledge C database in 2017. Video on the phone. I wrote video on phone. You looked at the camera roll on Libby's phone. Yes. Do you recall what was on camera roll on February 13th, 2017? Do you want to refresh your memory? So Auger said Exhibit A is Monon High Bridge. Was that on Libby's camera roll? Brian said, oh no, I'm sorry. Wait, sorry. Exhibit A is Abby walking on Monon High Bridge, which we've all seen. And Auger said, was that on Libby's camera roll? Not that I recall, which some people freak out about that, but I think sometimes Snapchat, if you take a photo in the app, it does not necessarily transfer to your phone's camera roll, depending on how you set your settings. For anybody who doesn't know that. But we don't know exactly how Libby's Snapchat was set up. So Auger asked, when you look at photo or video, you can see data sometimes. Auger, there is data with video like latitude, longitude, and Celebrate can map it, M-A-P it. Brian, yes, I did map it. Exhibit N as in Nancy, a map showing the latitude and longitude associated with Libby's 43-second video. I wrote circle latitude and longitude question mark from Auger. Brian said, I can't answer. Auger said, not near bridge. So these are like the GPS latitude and longitude that were matched up to Libby's 43-second video. And Auger is kind of insinuating that this circle is not near the bridge where Libby and Abby were abducted. And obviously, well, not obviously to some people. I mean, to me, Abby is standing on Mona High Bridge in that photo, and I don't think it's faked, but some people do. So Auger said the GPS from that video is not near the bridge. Brian said close to video, the coordinates were in Delphi. McClelland objected. Auger said something about it being an identifier. Gull says it goes to the weight the jury would give. Overruled McClelland. So I said, defense mommy for the win. Anyway, Auger continued. I wrote, point that information out to investigators. I guess that, like, if the video, the GPS from Libby's video is showing like a different part of Delphi, did Brian tell the investigators, like, does it seem odd? Brian said, no, I did not look for GPS data in 2017. You talked about messaging earlier, and Exhibit 195 is printed in landscape. Brian said, yes, it is. I think Auger said some information is cut off in that photo. Did you take a picture only of the top part of, I guess, her phone, Libby's phone? Yes. But there's other information below that could be helpful. Yes. Was iMessaging enabled? Yes. iMessaging is a service by Apple. So if user A and user B both have an Apple iPhone, they can use iMessage to send secure messages. McClelland interrupted saying, can I ask foundation questions? Something about Apple, something about iMessaging. McClelland, Not sure he can answer how it worked for iMessaging. So I think McClelland said, I'm not sure that Brian is qualified to answer how iMessaging works. Go, overruled McClelland, her nephew. Continuing with Auger, ignore me. iMessaging, user A and B can send through Apple's server. Yes. Other capabilities for two users who both have an iPhone, like Find My iPhone. Yes, there is that capability. Can they share locations? Yes. Libby had Find My iPhone enabled. I don't know. Exhibit M, the last three lines. Oh, so she showed Brian Libby's settings on her phone, and then Brian said, yes, it was enabled. So Libby's Find My iPhone was enabled. Is Find My iPhone used to track kids? McClelland objected and Gull sustained. Do you agree, which I'm sick of them saying, do you agree? Do you agree every time you plug in your phone for extractions, does the phone lose data? Brian said, in 2024, yes. In 2017, we weren't sure, we didn't know, but it was true. I don't know. When plugged in, some data is lost. Not necessarily. If powered off on February 15th, the phone lost data. Possibly. If powered off and on February 21st, when he examined it again, did it lose data? Yes. Overwritten data, something, something, correct. September 5th was like the method 2, 2017. Would data be lost? Yes. October 11th, 2017, would data be lost? Yes. 2019 extraction, would data be lost? Yes. Page 49 of 65, there's still a lot more interesting stuff coming up that you honestly do not want to miss. You can take a break, and on the bottom right of YouTube videos, there's a circle. You can watch back at 2 times speed to save time, but you have to wait. Hello? You have to wait for me to finish that part. I can't go 2 times speed. Here we go, page 49 of 65. So Auger said, so some data you could never get back and the jury would never know what that data was. And he said, yes. Auger rested, and here comes McClelland. Talk about levels of certification. Indiana State Police doesn't give certification for like Celebrate. Brian said, chose to take certifications doesn't affect capabilities or training. McClelland said, but you did get training on Celebrate. Absolutely. It's no different than getting the certificate that you are certified in Celebrate. McClelland, in 2017, how long had you worked with the Celebrate software? 8 years, and I continued training. McClelland, photos, videos, GPS, 2017. Wait. Give me a second. So I wrote photos, video, GPS, 2017, dash, GPS location of video taken on iPhone. Brian said data. I wrote dash GPS coordinates. So he mentioned this term called EXIF data. He spelled it EXIF, so EXIF data. So this EXIF data is attached to every photo you take in every video, like underneath, like what we see, there's like data that shows like where it was taken and stuff like that. McClelland said, was it the same in 2017? Yes. So when you start a video, is the GPS area larger? Yes. Then it gets smaller. It depends on the cell phone tower, satellite, Wi-Fi to get an accurate location. The circle gets smaller as the video goes longer, and it gets like more information from the tower. Let me just like explain that more. Let me see. Or maybe they did it later. So essentially, I think what they were saying is at the beginning of this 43-second video, the EXIF data, again, I might get this wrong, but I think that's what it is. The EXIF data might show a large circle that the GPS is like including a lot of Delphi, but maybe at the end of the 43-second video, it was able to get a better latitude and longitude and maybe get closer to the Mullen High Bridge. I think that's what this concept is. Back to McClelland. Give accuracy in a range. Brian said, celebrate something in this area, GPS location. McClelland, with this video, how accurate is it? A little over a mile. Brian mapped it out. Are today's GPS accurate? Yes, within a range of GPS. I'm not sure what that meant. Objection from Auger, asked and answered, sustained. The heat just went on in case you hear background noise. I'll turn it off so you don't get distracted. It didn't turn off. I'll speak louder. I have to find my place. So Auger objected that it was asked and answered already, sustained. McClelland said, when turn on phone, is data lost? Brian said, cell phones have underlying operating system. So it's moving and deleting databases it doesn't need anymore. You can't tell what data is lost. McClelland, in 2017, the only location data you had were GPS coordinates on her exhibit. After that, I wrote other GPS on phone. Sorry, sometimes I can't hear and I'm just trying to get as much as I can. McClelland, GPS with other videos. Yes. Did you map those? No. In 2017, only coordinates were on Exhibit M. Yes. In 2024, Detective or Sergeant Cecil found additional coordinates. Brian said he's not aware. Time for jury questions. Gull, Auger, and McClelland were talking in the corner for several minutes. Rick and Baldwin were standing talking while the jury was there. It's kind of weird. Jury question number 1. I think it was, what was February 13th when longitude, latitude taken for Abby and Libby location? The answer was just 2:13 p.m. What info is on Knowledge C database? The answer was Apple tracks data, says it's not there, but there is a database that exists with like health information, GPS, frequent locations, how many steps you take and walk, elevation. This is information that the phone uses to develop a user experience. Next, I wrote screen on/off, second by second activity. Didn't know database existed in 2017. So those last two things, it tells, the data can tell, like when the screen went on or off, and second by second activity on the phone. Page 50 of 65. McClelland, when did you find out about the Knowledge C database existed? 2018 to 19. Something about when you turn a phone on or off, Knowledge C database. I think, is there other information lost? Possibly. Can video or photos be lost by turning a phone on or off? No. October 2017, report from Indiana State Police or Homeland Security. Indiana State Police. Was Knowledge C database produced by Homeland Security? Brian said, we believe in method 3. We believed, I think what he said was, he believed that in the method 3 celebrate extraction, it did include the Knowledge C database data. But Brian said, we didn't know it existed within that extraction. So they did do that in 2017, but he did not know, here comes the train again, that it had that extra data in 2017. McClelland, when you put an extraction data in Celebrate in 2017, was information notifying Knowledge C existed? I don't know. He said no, Celebrate did not include this Knowledge C data in 2017 reports. McClelland said, who do you mean when you keep saying we did not know that Knowledge C was in this report? Myself, digital forensic community worldwide. McClelland was done. Auger, just because you didn't know doesn't mean it didn't exist. Okay, I don't know, I have a dash under there, so let me look here. Next, I wrote, as of February 2017, any deleted photos, but I didn't really add anything after that. I guess this is Auger continuing asking questions. Do Snapchat photos save to a person's phone? Many save in the, his answer was many save in the Snapchat database. Could an iPad have pulled the same Memorial Park location in exhibit, whatever? So I think what they're saying is the GPS location of Libby's 43-second video showed Memorial Park in Delphi, not the Monon High Bridge. So Auger said, could an iPad, so if Libby had an iPad that was connected to iCloud or something, could an iPad have pulled the same Memorial Park location in exhibit something? I wrote would not have, and then a question mark. I couldn't hear the answer, I apologize. McClelland, could you use an iPad to find an iPhone? If it was synced with the answer was, if it was synced with Find My iPhone, possibly. Next question. The software used in September and October 2017, did it take data? Sorry, my notes are all over the place for this one. Let me read it. The gist of it was in 2017, when you used like the method 3, did the report include this Knowledge C more information? Brian said, no, I didn't know it existed. McClelland, no tool put Knowledge C in report. The answer was no. Objection, leading question, sustained. McClelland's last question. I don't know what it is. I wrote document/photo to show notifications. Brian said, I don't believe. Yeah, this might have been, or maybe that was Auger who asked. So like when you turn your phone on and you haven't used it in a while, you'll see like notifications for whatever, Sluther Vandross called you. So I think Auger was saying, you took all these photos of Libby's cell phone when you turned it on. did you take photos of like all of her notifications on her phone, like a missed call, missed text? And Brian said, I don't believe. So Brian was done at 12:46, and Auger said, you guys get an hour, 15-minute lunch break, come back at 2 o'clock. It's about to get crazy for the next 15 pages. So who's going to talk? That's what you guys want to know. Let's see here. I'm not looking at any comments. I'm kind of busy. Oh. Yeah. I'm adding the name of the next person. I'm going to tell you guys in a second who else testified today. So there's one more police guy, Jeremy Chapman. He is going to talk about enhancing Libby's video and audio from that thing. Then, I think I'm going to get this right, Brienne Wilbur, who was on the trail and past bridge guy, her testimony was kind of cray. Then Anna Spath, who also was in that group with Rayleigh. And that's also some interesting stuff. Betsy Blair finally testified, and she said some things that were good for Rick being innocent, but she said some other things that aren't too good. That was new information. So like I said, I'm on page 51. I'm going to page 65, and that ends with Betsy Blair. So here we go. Here comes Jeremy. Okay. Next witness, Jeremy Chapman, Indiana State Police System Administrator, civilian today, but he worked for 30 years for Indiana State Police, was a forensic examiner working with audio and visual as a technician. Exhibit 208 was his resume. McClelland, I think, was the one who talked to, or interviewed him or questioned him. Asked, what were your role and duties? Audio visual technician. Between 2014 to 15, he had training, evidence and enhancing audio, annual training. What kind of equipment did you use? I think he said Axon 5, AXON maybe, or I don't know if it was Axiom 5. Also video, maybe an Axon 5 video forensic suite. What capabilities did you have? To take media, so this is Jeremy's answer. Take media off of devices, make presentable for trier of fact, which I think means like jury members. McClelland, would you make pics and videos clearer? Yes. His goal was to turn light on and enhance the video or audio or photos. Also, he used audio software like Adobe Suite, Audition, and he would use plugins and filters to make the sound better. McClelland said quality of filter. Oh, sorry, no. Goal of filter. Eliminate background noise. 2017, what was your position in Indiana State Police? Sergeant, forensic examiner, audiovisual tech, dealing with computers, phones, iPads, and hard drives. How did you get involved in this case? He was sent the video from Libby's phone. So again, Exhibit 200 showed. Okay, so they showed Libby's 43-second video again in the afternoon, and I was sitting at a better spot, so I actually did see Libby's video. I wrote, Libby is at the end of the trail. She got off, as far as what I remember, she was off the bridge, walking around in the gravel, waiting for Abby to come to that area. So what you see on the screen is the rocks at the end of the bridge, in the gravel after the bridge, where Libby is standing, waiting for Abby to get off and walk towards her. So I wrote, Libby talk, and then I wrote Abby run. So like the last few railroad tracks, it seemed like Abby got a running start and kind of like ran and then ran onto the gravel. And I did not notice Bridge Guy at all in this video. I'll get to that in a second. So at that point, I heard, I think it was Libby saying, no path going there. It showed gravel on the video, on the screen. And then I heard guys, and I wrote this time instead of huh, I wrote hi. I wrote down here, showed rocks, gravel, mostly off end of bridge. Abby far away. I didn't see Bridge Guy. So that's that with the video. If you have questions, maybe I'll see them in an hour. I'm trying to think, like, I don't really know what else I could tell you about the video, other than it shows the gravel. It shows Abby maybe like 20 feet from Libby, maybe like 7 to 10 railroad ties away. I don't know if Libby put the phone back down, and then she showed it again, Abby running real quick to get off the bridge. I don't think Abby was like running in fear, because like Bridge Guy, like I said, I didn't see him. I think it was her like maybe first time, or I don't know, there's debate about if she ever was on the bridge before. I think it was her like just like getting off the end of the bridge, not really running in fear. And then it goes back down to the gravel. I did not hear go down the hill at all in the 2 times it was played. But there's some enhancement later by Jeremy where you could hear it. So that's it for the video description. So McClelland asks Jeremy, what makes, he said something like, what makes a video good for being able to be enhanced? Jeremy said, having a lot of pixels. So Jeremy then said he looked for frame candidates for images of Bridge Guy. So each video has a bunch of frames, and you can go one by one to see like which is the clearest of Bridge Guy to then enhance. So Jeremy found 3 frames decent for the investigation to try and determine who was Bridge Guy. So out of this 43-second video, there were 3 frames that Jeremy enhanced. He put them through a program, Enhance Images, work with pick to enhance to get better idea of, I guess, Bridge Guy. There were hundreds of screenshots and frames. Jeremy presented 3 today. He drafted a report, which is Exhibit 209 from February 16th, 2017. Does the report have photos? Yes. Enhanced 3 from frames 370, 347, and 343 of Libby's video. Those are not exhibits. Those are frames from the Libby's video. Auger objects to the entire report. It's suggestive. Gull said to her, like, on what foundation? He testified it's in his report. McClelland said the report will assist the jury with the 5 photos. I wrote here in parentheses, I was not sure of the result of this objection. I wrote, will give the jury the 5 picks, but not his analysis. But I could kind of see the jury like moving the pages over, and it was not just 5 photos. There was like some writing, so I'm not sure how this objection panned out. So I think McClelland said on page 2 of the report, frame 370 was the first frame you were able to enhance. Yes. On page 6 of my report, I described how I enhanced it. Amplify the software, rotate the image from, I guess it was portrait, and then he changed it to landscape. So rotate, crop, which means like if you have, this is my video, like this is cropping me down to a shorter area. Resize, get rid of artifacts, adjust levels and contrast. He said that when a video is compressed, it causes something called blocking. So he did something with the blocking. Sharpen, add, I think he said sharpening it, adds details to the edge of the pixels. Page 52 of 65. So I think McClelland said, so what is the finished product of the enhanced image? And Jeremy said on page 3, it's labeled unsharp masking 370. So 370 is the frame. Next image is 347, and he described how he enhanced that. And then finally, frame 343 was referenced as a smaller image. Optical deblurring was used. McClelland, did you enhance the audio? The last portion, he said, I think Jeremy said down the hill, and then he said of the male. Then for about 3 minutes, McClelland, Auger, and Gull met in the corner. They're drinking tequila. Auger, that was a joke. Auger, I have to be careful. I think Auger said, I have a preliminary question about the audio. Judge Gull said, yes. Go ahead, young lady. She didn't say that. She said yes. Auger asked Jeremy about 3 questions, like calling into question his expertise. So she said, do you have specialized background in something? I couldn't hear it. Do you have specialized background in listening? I think Jeremy said, not speech. Finally, Auger said, do you have specialized background in hearing? Jeremy said, no. Auger said, those are my objections. McClelland said, audio enhancement is used to focus on the male at the end. Were you able to enhance? Jeremy said, I attempted to with filters, and Jeremy said he was able to enhance it with filters. McClelland said able to do, and Jeremy said yes. So McClelland marked exhibit 207 and submitted and played. I wrote here, Rick was looking at the TV, touching face. He may have gone like this real quick. Again, don't read anything into it. McClelland asked Jeremy, how many times did you observe the video? Dozen or dozens? Did you view the video when you were enhancing the audio? No. Did you pull the audio from the video? Yes. What do you believe the male says? Objection from Auger. He doesn't give an opinion on it. Oh, wait, here we go. So McClelland said, what did you believe Bridge Guy said on the video? Auger stood up and objected and said, Jeremy should not give his opinion on what he thinks Bridge Guy said until, what the hell is that? Oh, sorry, it's my sister. Texting me. Kind of busy, 800 people watching. So Auger said that Jeremy should not give his opinion on what Bridge Guy says until after the jury has heard the audio. So his interpretation does not influence the jury. And Gull said it was already played, like we had just heard it. So Chapman's opinion was that the guy said down the hill. So it was played, I guess, up here, like right before that. And I don't know if it included the guys, but it was definitely like the enhanced down the hill. Yeah, so in 2019, they released the longer audio that says guys, and then there's space, and then it says down the hill. I tried to enhance that myself at some point, like this in-between stuff. And I thought I heard Abby saying, Libby, like scared, but I did not hear that on today's full video. Tom's wrong once again. So then Auger said, you put the video in software and the photos were on, like the screenshots were on pages 2 and 3 of this report. Page 2 is unenhanced frame. 3 is the enhanced photo. So then OJ referenced that the software does interpolation, which is a method that uses known values to estimate unknown values. Then she said, in the three enhanced frames, they're changed from the original. And Jeremy said, yes. OJ said, you took some sounds out. He said, yes, I guess while analyzing and enhancing the audio only. She had no more questions. McClelland had no questions, and the jury had no questions for Jeremy. Page 63, oh, hello? No, page 53 of 65. Get ready. Next witness. Here we go. All right, give me 1 second, please. Stand by. I'm busy, kind of busy. I'll reply later. Wait, I have to write this. This stuff is like really, these next three witnesses you don't want to miss. Next witness, reviewing testimony of Rayleigh Voorhees, the girl who said hi to Bridge Guy on the trail, or at the start of the trail with her 3 friends. Actually, we learned that 2 were sisters and 1 was a friend. So you're about to hear all this stuff. After she testified, I was like, oh my God, like she totally, I'm not blaming her, but I was like, the prosecution is screwed. But then things changed with the next witness and the next witness. So stay tuned. Stacy Diener is the one who questioned her. In 2017, this is just like background to find out like who she is. In 2017, you lived in Delphi. Yes. She went to high school. She was 16, a sophomore. Did she know Abby and Libby? She knew of them, but was not personally friends with them. So at the time, she had a cell phone with social media that she used: Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. Were Abby and Libby in any of your apps as friends? And she did say yes, even though she vaguely knew them. On February 13th, you walked on the Highbridge Trail to take pics, and she said that she did that often. She would do it 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes twice a day. Either, she said often she would go alone, but sometimes she would go with friends. So the day of the murders on the 13th, she was at her father's house in Delphi. Then she went with her sisters to the bridge. And as she was walking from her dad's house towards the trails, she passed the home of Brienne Wilbur, who testified after her. And then Betsy Blair testifies last. Yeah, get ready. So she's walking towards Bree Wilbur's house and picks up Bree, not with a car, but just walking. After that, she stopped at her mom's house and got her sister, Isabel, who is, I guess, her half-sister with her dad. This is kind of confusing, sorry. At the time, Isabel was about 12 years old. She's her half-sister. So after they went to her dad's house and Bree's house and picked up these 2 other girls, she stopped at her mom's house and got her other sister, who her name is Anna Spath. And at that time, I think she was 13. So Bree Wilbur is the same grade as Rayleigh. I wrote, she went with Bree Wilbur a few times to the trail previously. So walked to, sorry, I wrote TV. I don't know what that means. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Rayleigh was on the stand, and then she was asked to walk over to this really large TV that had, I think it's Exhibit 5, it's the Google satellite view of like Hoosier Heartland Highway to the crime scene. So Rayleigh walked over to the TV. She showed like where Freedom Bridge is. Her mom's house is like further over on the left on the map. She showed the overpass and then Freedom Bridge and said they went to the Nature Preserve Trail. They went to High Bridge. She was asked by Diener, did you go to the end of High Bridge that day? Not that day, she did not. Rayleigh went to the first platform. I wrote, when get to High Bridge, go on the train track. Rayleigh said she did not think either of her two sisters went on the bridge/train track. Bree may have gone a few feet, like the first few rail ties. So Rayleigh said she left home in town walking around 11:30, got bridge 12, she said 12, so noon. So I've previously talked about this so many times. So Rick said in 2022, he arrived at the trail and was there noon to 1:30. And I always said, well, if these four girls took a 12:43 photo of High Bridge, it takes 15 minutes to get from Freedom Bridge to High Bridge. So these girls must have gotten there by around 12:28, 12:30. And they walked the entire trail to the High Bridge and they never saw Rick on any benches or the High Bridge. So it was interesting to find out that she said they got to the trail around noon and there's something else coming up with Betsy Blair that's not good for Rick and there's some stuff that's good for him. So keep it moving. Trying to find my place. So she left home at 11:30, got bridge 12, took pics from the platform, then more pics down by the water. So she has a higher quality Nikon camera, not just using her cell phone. I lost my place. Okay. So she said, she was asked how they got from the start of the bridge down to the water. They went down the right side off the bridge. So I guess as you're looking at the full bridge, here's the creek, down the right. I went there and there's like a very small path. So some people might walk back to the Mears intersection and go down the other 505 trail. But Rayleigh said they, I guess, got a few feet off of the start of the bridge. And then they walked, it might be like 20 feet away from the start of the bridge and just walked down this smaller path. She said the area has less brush and trees. She said it was steep, not easy to navigate. All four of the group, the girls, went down this trail all the way down to the water. She took some pictures of the water and nature, and they went back up the same way to Freedom Bridge. So they did not take the longer shortcut on the 505 to the intersection. They went like pretty much straight back up to Freedom Bridge. And now they're to Monon High Bridge. And now they're walking like the full trail, past all benches, yada, yada, yada. Do you remember the weather? Yes, it was nice, sunny, 47 degrees, and we were wearing light jackets. So people would wonder, how do you know it was 47 so long ago? She said something like her dad was concerned it would be cold, and maybe she checked the temperature. I don't know. Maybe it's just a number that she's always remembered of what the temperature was that day. Did you see anyone on High Bridge? No. When you turned to walk home and you were walking toward town, did you see anybody? Yes. Did you see anyone almost back to Freedom Bridge? Yes, I said hi. So there's, yeah, sorry, give me 1 second. So I don't know if this is coming up again, or it's about to come up. So when she arrives around noon, they walk from Freedom Bridge to High Bridge. There is a man walking a dog, and he's coming more like towards maybe from, she did not say this, but like maybe like bench 2, exiting towards Freedom Bridge with his dog. He's, I don't think he's a bridge guy, but anyway. So when Diener said, "Did you see anyone?" I don't know, maybe Rayleigh said almost when we were back. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm confused by my own notes. But what I just said about the dog walker guy exiting the trail, he was going towards Freedom Bridge as they entered Freedom Bridge, going towards High Bridge. Diener said, "Is it unusual to see people on the trail? On nicer days, people walk and like walk their dogs." What does that say? Did you recognize the guy walking the dog? No. Did you recognize the guy who entered from Freedom Bridge when you were leaving? No. She had to be home by 2:30, something about her sister had something to do. Page 64, page 54 of 65. Was there anything unusual about your interaction with this guy as you left the trail and he was entering? Bridge guy. He did not seem to be a happy person. She said that she said hi to him. He did not reply with anything. When did you learn Abby and Libby had gone, or did you learn that Abby and Libby had gone to Mona High Bridge? Yes. When? In the morning. Yes. How did you learn? Bree, her friend, Bree told me what she said. So I think this is after the girls were missing. Diener wanted to know, when did you learn Abby and Libby had gone to the High Bridge and were missing? And she found out from her friend Bree, who was who was best friends with Kelsey. When you first heard that the girls were missing, what were your thoughts? I thought the man I saw had something to do with it. So you were with your sister, something about the sister and the friends. And I guess Rayleigh said to them that that guy was unhappy, but they didn't, the 3 friends and sisters did not really notice him. So they did not really have any response to Rayleigh saying, that guy seems really unhappy. When did you give a statement about the man? The next day at school. When did you, I think it was around the 15th, not the 14th. So her statement was the day after the girls were found. Your Nikon camera, did you use any other device? Yes, we used phones for social media posts, and Bree had a phone. There was a question about social media, and she said Snapchat you could post the photos to the app. Did you take pictures with someone else's phone? Yes, Bree on the bridge. I took photos of Bree on the bridge for Bree to then upload that to her social media. What did you tell law enforcement? I said he was overdressed, about the guy they passed near the start. He was overdressed for the weather. His face was covered. He had a hood on with a hat. He was a male Caucasian with white skin. Did you see his full face? No, he had something over his nose and mouth, and she said it like a scarf or something went up to about the bridge or whatever this at the end of his nose. She said something of sorts. I don't know if it was a scarf of sorts or something like that. He had she was asked, did he have a hat on as well as a hood? And she said yes. She was asked, did he have darker clothes? And Rayleigh said he was overdressed. We were only wearing jackets. Did you see his hands? She thought he had his hands in his pockets when they passed. After the girls were found, the bodies were found, did you hear about it on the 14th? Yes. In the days that followed and information was released, did you see the still photo from Libby's video of Bridge Guy? Yes, Rayleigh did see that photo, and she knows of that photo. Page 55 of 65. Exhibit 210 is a very large image of Bridge Guy, a screenshot from Libby's video that's maybe like, well, I don't know, 3 feet wide by 4 feet tall. I might be exaggerating that. See, eyewitness testimony is shady. So Exhibit 210 is a larger, like, printout poster board of a screenshot of Bridge Guy, like walking on the trail, zoomed in with his hands in his pockets or whatever. So Diener put this photo on an easel so the jury could see, and also railing. I wrote, Rick swivel wide in his chair. So he's like going back and forth like this, not like too exaggerated, but I wanted to see what his reaction was when this photo goes up. That might be him in the photo. So he's going back like this for just a few seconds. Like I said, don't read anything into what I'm saying. I'm just sharing what I saw. So Rayleigh saw that screenshot. She saw image and realized it was the man she saw. Auger cross-examined. So you were off school, but didn't you have cheerleading practice? Yes. You had to be home by 2:30. Yes. So then she asked Bree to stand by the TV and point to where she traveled to get home. She showed Freedom Bridge. The trail connects to the circle at Freedom Bridge. I wrote, oh, so she said, where did you see Bridge Guy? She said, close to the end of the trail. So that actually, like, it would have been the start of the trail from Freedom Bridge entrance. She said they were still in the trees when they passed Bridge Guy. So they weren't quite out open in the clear near Freedom Bridge. Rayleigh went back to the stand. She said, go to Bree's house. So Bree is this girl. Go to Bree's around 2:20 p.m. What time did you see the guy, Bridge Guy, at the opening of the trail? 2:15. I can hear you guys like, what? Yeah, that was a crazy moment. Although we've heard some rumors, like in Hannah Shakespeare's documentary, she interviewed Rayleigh, and Rayleigh, I think in that one, said around 2:10, which we know 2:13, Bridge Guy was captured on video. So how could she see Bridge Guy at 2:15, 2 minutes after Bridge Guy abducted Abby and Libby? Stay tuned for some more testimony. Auger continued. Hold on. I obviously need to go to Dairy Queen for a blizzard. Oh. My vocal cords need to be frozen. Okay, here we go. So Auger said, you gave a statement to Mullen, who's this former Delphi police chief, current Carroll County Prosecutor's Office investigator. He's there every day at the prosecutor's table. So she says to Bree, you gave a statement to Mullen when you were at school, told him leaving Monon High Bridge Trail a few yards from Freedom Bridge. And Rayleigh said, I probably did not have a grasp to convey distance. I guess where they saw Bridge Guy. Auger, I don't know what that word is. So I think she pointed to the map and may have said, you saw him here around 2:15. She said, that is 2 minutes after 2:13. And Rayleigh said, yes, it is 2 minutes after 2:13. Did Mullen have you draw a map? Yes. Was the man you saw, Bridge Guy, in all black? Rayleigh said, I said all black was because I saw the picture, the screenshot. It was him. I read the negative demeanor of Bridge Guy. I read it as black. So do you need me to clarify? I mean, it's kind of confusing. So she's obviously the girl who said hi to him. He didn't say hi back. She thought he was like angry and crotchety. She didn't use that word. So she's saying like her recollection of the color was based on the negative emotion of Bridge Guy not saying hi. And we'll learn later from Bree that Rayleigh said hi to other people on the trail, and everybody else was friendly and maybe stopped and said hi, except this one man. Auger asked, was this guy's face covered by black cloth up to his nose and had a hat? Yes. So you could see, Auger went like this, I think. So you can see his eye area mostly, and Rayleigh said a little up on his forehead. So I guess maybe like this was the correct area. You said, Auger, some of this stuff is not good for the prosecution. I mean, we want the truth, but we'll see. Wait till you hear the stuff. So Auger says to Rayleigh, you said he was early 20s to 30s. Yes. You said he had a bigger build. Yes. But she may have said something. It could have been because of his jacket was puffy or something. In your sorry, I wrote February 17 statement. I'm not sure if it's February 17th, 2017 or February 2017. February 17 statement references Anna Lee Spath. She said he was muscular. Rayleigh said, I don't recall. Auger says to Rayleigh, but he had dirty blonde hair. Yes. Was it long enough to see? And Rayleigh said, no, sorry. Auger said, was the hair on this guy's head long enough to see? Rayleigh, not super long. She could see his hair in the hoodie. And Auger said, you said it was curly. And Rayleigh said, I don't recall saying that. Page 56 of 65. Auger gave a transcript of Rayleigh's February 17th statement just to refresh her memory and said, read your statement to yourself. Gull said, this is improper. So that was that. Auger said, or asked Rayleigh, did you tell investigators his hair was curly? Yes. That he had brown eyes? Yes. Wrinkly face? Yes. Square jaw? Yes. Do you recall your 2021 statement? Probably. In 2021, do you, I don't know, in 2021, believed you can accurately describe, or was it affected by what you had seen, like the screenshots? Rayleigh said, my memory has been impacted, period. Probably meaning just by like seeing the bridge guy video and audio, or sorry, the screenshots. Auger showed Exhibit O, which was a, and she asked Rayleigh to circle on the map where she and her friends encountered bridge guy. I wrote that area. And Auger said, and that was at 2:15. Yes, said Rayleigh. Auger said, please write down 2:15 on this piece of paper. So Rayleigh wrote 2:15 on the paper. Auger, you're 5'7". Yes. Bridge guy, he was taller than you. Yes. Did you say he was 5'10"? Rayleigh's answer was, that seems to be accurate. In the opening statements, Baldwin said bridge guy was 5'11". I know it's just a small fact or whatever, but the jury heard 5'11" in the opening statements, and now they're hearing a variety of other heights. Next up, that was it for Auger. So Diener is going to ask some questions to Rayleigh. On your way to High Bridge, you saw a man with a dog. He was walking toward Freedom Bridge. There was no comment. They stopped at a bench to take photos. How far down? So, hold up, wait a minute. I'm going to show this photo, if I can find it quickly. Please stand by. Bench. I have like thousands of files in this case. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to show this on the screen for people who have not seen it. Remove, sorry. Please stand by. I blurred out their faces for their privacy. Let's take Tom off the screen so you can see. Can I enhance this? Zoom in, let's see. So this photo leaked. What's in this background here? Is that a building? So this seems to be bench number 2. Please stand by as I'm trying to figure this stuff out. So if you turn this sideways, it says February 13th, 2017, 1:26 p.m. and it's bench number 2 near the start of the trail, Freedom Bridge. This was not shown today, which is, I was like, I was concerned about the prosecution's abilities. So let me go back to my notes. So I guess Diener said you stopped at a bench to take photos. How far down? And so Rayleigh said, well, there was a farm in the background of the photo. And also later it was referenced that it's a green building with a green roof, I think. So Diener said between High Bridge and Mears entrance, and Rayleigh said past that. And Diener said you stopped at the bench. Yes. And Diener said if a building is in the background with a green roof, is it north or on the north side or the south side of the trail is the bench? And Rayleigh said it would be on the north side. So this is, it does match up to this. I'll take this off the screen in a second. Let me see. Yeah, because there's more testimony about it. So page 57 of 65. Rayleigh pointed at the house on the map. So I guess Rayleigh got off the stand again and pointed at this green house that would have been behind here, which I'm not sure if there's another photo or if that's the green house in the background or if it's cropped or what. So Rayleigh pointed at the map on the TV screen today and pointed out the house that would have been behind this photo. Did you see, sorry. So Diener said you saw Bridge Guy after this 1:26 photo was taken. Yes. And Diener said between the green roof and something else, and I couldn't hear what she said, but Rayleigh confirmed yes. In the photo, who was in it? And Rayleigh said Bree and I, and part of my sister is cut off, but I put these things on here, these to protect their privacy, but this person on the right, this is Rayleigh. And I'm almost certain this has been confirmed that this is her younger sister, Isabel. So she said in the photo, it's her, Rayleigh, and Bree, and her sister's cut off. So I'm not sure, some of Rayleigh's testimony I was confused by. So I'm going to stop that. Diener said, does Bree have any photos from that day? Rayleigh said it's possible. When did you give your statement to police? What I wrote was, when give statement to police, question mark. The answer was only saw Bridge Guy. And so Diener was trying to be like, this girl, I'm not like dissing her at all, but Diener was like, had you ever given a statement to police before? No. Have you ever estimated height, weight, or distance? No. Do you have something for reference when you saw Bridge Guy? No. Which way was Bridge Guy walking? Toward the High Bridge. When you saw the Bridge Guy picture, was it shortly after the girls were found? Yes, I'm fairly certain it was who I saw. So she sees the screenshot from Libby's video and is fairly certain that was the man she passed. I guess Diener said, maybe somebody else, maybe Auger said, is there anything else about the photo that could help you conclude who the person in it was? And Rayleigh said no. So then I wrote Diener again. I just wrote photo influenced your memory, possibly. Show item 210, exhibit 210. Oh, so then Diener shows this large photo zoomed onto Bridge Guy, the screenshot that we all know. And I thought this was Auger maybe saying this. I wrote down basically what they were saying is Rayleigh previously said the guy she saw was wearing black jeans, a black coat, a black mask, and the hood and hat were blue. And I wrote that Rayleigh said, yes, that's correct, that maybe I had said that. There were no jury questions. And we are finished with Rayleigh, and I was like, uh-oh, that wasn't good for the prosecution. But again, I want the truth, so I'm not saying boo-hoo, let's fry Rick. I'm saying it just wasn't good for the prosecution. Up to this point, there really wasn't a lot of stuff that I felt was good to help the jury make a determination if Rick is truly innocent or guilty, but some of this stuff today is going to make their heads spin back and forth. Next witness. I'm going to put it on in a second. Brienne Wilbur. Her name is Brienne with one E, but I'm just going to put it Brie. We're friends. I'm kidding, we're not friends. She'd be like, who's that creepy old guy? Diener is asking Brienne Wilbur questions. So it's just like with most of these witnesses, they start with like just to get to know them. So in 2017, she was in high school, 16 years old, 10th grade. How did you know Abby and Libby? I knew Libby through Kelsey, one of my best friends. Did you use social media? Yes. Snapchat to take pictures that I would send to friends and post on my story on Snapchat. Were Abby and Libby in your Snapchat friends list? Only Libby. February 13th was the day off of school. Yes. Page 58 of 65. Go to Monon High Trail. Yes. Often? I wrote it was. So Bree would not really go there often. She would only go with friends, never alone. I think I wrote walking distance, but it might be walking distance from her home. Obviously, she walked there that day. On the 13th, she went with friends, and she said Rayleigh and Anna, but she did not mention Rayleigh and Anna's half-sister, Isabel. I know some people are going to think, well, that's only 3 girls and not 4. Rick said he saw 3 girls at noon. Whatever. I think she just forgot to say Isabel. So Diener said, what were the events that led to you going to the trail? She was at home. And let's see, I wrote, she came over. I guess Rayleigh came over, lived close, and said, do you want to go take pictures on Rayleigh's camera of the trails, the high quality Nikon camera? Did you cross High Bridge? No, maybe I took 1 to 2 steps onto the bridge, I guess while Rayleigh was taking photos on platform 1. Can you show on the map the path you took, I guess from your home and around? So I wrote show on map, path you took over Freedom Bridge, down the trail to High Bridge. And then Anna or Bree went back on the stand. I wrote, when went to High Bridge, remember other. Do you remember other people, maybe? So when you went to High Bridge, do you remember other people? She said there were a few on the trail, not at High Bridge. What did you do at High Bridge? We took pictures, chatted. We did not cross the full bridge. And as I said before, only rarely went out to platform 1. Stay tuned for more interesting stuff. After this is Betsy Blair, then we're done. Did you post on Snapchat? Yes, I did post on Snapchat. Oh, sorry. The full question was, did you post on Snapchat to indicate you were at High Bridge? Yes, I posted on Snapchat. After you were at High Bridge, what did you do? I wrote, get ready to leave, took same path, saw a few people. Well, who did they see if they said they only saw bridge guy entering? Did you take pictures? I did. What was your one last photo? Objection from the defense, leading question. Then, I don't know, she said, what was your last, you took one last photo? Yes. Before you left the trail? Yes. So the timestamp on that photo is from the Snapchat app? Yes. Exhibit 211 is 4 pages. Do you recognize this? Yes, it's from my Snapchat with timestamps. So the jury got these 4 pages, Exhibit 211, and they looked at photos on paper. Can you describe the photo? I wrote High Bridge, standing back, time 12:43. So if you're just joining, these girls apparently start on the trail at 12. They're still at High, they walk the entire trail. They're taking photos of High Bridge at 12:43. Rick said he was there noon to 1:30. They ain't seen him. Moving along. Page 3, photo number 2. After High Bridge went back and sat on the bench and took a photo at 1:26, which is what I just showed you guys. After bench photo, I wrote see people out. Did you see people on your way out of the trails? Yes, 1 or 2 on the way out. So why would she say 1 or 2 if they only saw bridge guy, which I don't know if that's necessarily bad. I mean, she admitted, I did see the guy who resembled the guy in Libby's video. So Diener said, did anyone catch your attention? Yes. Describe why. It was a warmer day in February, and he was dressed in many layers. Weird jacket. The way he was walking was with purpose. Rarely saying hi. So, as I said before, Rarely was saying hi to everybody they saw on the trails. Everyone else said hi and had no hesitation. Oh, no, sorry. Rarely, as these girls are walking on the trails, she says hi to everybody. Everybody else is polite and says hi. When she says hi to Bridge Guy, Bree said he had no hesitation. He did not stop. He did not say hi. We're almost done. How long? 2.5 hours. We're in the home stretch. Get ready. It's crazy. We still have Betsy Blair. So after, this is me going off this thing. So like when Rayleigh was saying 2:15, I was like, what the hell? That like what the jury is like, what are they thinking? We know that the Bridge Guy video is 2:13. These girls are saying we saw, or Rayleigh is saying the guy I saw matched Bridge Guy, but it was at 2:15, 2 minutes after Abby and Libby were abducted. So I was like, so when, I'm sorry, but I gotta say this. So when Rayleigh was saying that stuff and the prosecution was not saying like, well, you were in a photo at 1:26 p.m. on bench 2, which is close to the exit. Like, can we clarify some things? The prosecution did not bring up any of that. I was like, that's incompetence on the prosecution. So then I was like, who the hell is going to be the next witness? And it's Bree. I'm like, okay, maybe she's going to clarify some stuff. So Bree, continuing with Bridge Guy's what she thought about him, he gave weird vibes. I wrote, head back to town. So then I guess Diener said, when did you learn Libby was going to Highbridge? Bree said, when we were walking back, Libby messaged Bree on Snapchat. She explained that if somebody like Libby, who's her friend on Snapchat, looks at Bree's story posting maybe the 1243 video, I'm sorry, the 1243 Highbridge picture on Snapchat and the 126 bench photo, Libby at some point responds to Snapchat, maybe saying, are you still at Highbridge? So Diener said, is your Snapchat story exclusive? Yes, friends only can view. Did you receive Libby's message when you were past Freedom Bridge? Yes. Well, I don't know what the fuck, I'm sorry. I don't know what the heck she said. Because it seems like Diener said, did you receive Libby's Snapchat message when you were walking past Freedom Bridge, which would have been, it's still considered the trail, like going over the overpass back towards town. I wrote that the question is, did you receive when you were past Freedom Bridge? I wrote Bree's answer was yes. We were still on trail. I guess she said to Libby, said we left maybe 10 minutes ago from Highbridge, not 10 minutes ago from the trail in general. That was kind of confusing, and the prosecution should have clarified. Again, something else coming up, they should have clarified. So you later learned Abby and Libby were missing. Yes. How did you find out? I was at home with Kelsey. So Kelsey was over Bree's house, and Kelsey's grandmother was trying to contact Kelsey to tell her that Libby was missing. Did you talk to police later that evening? May have been the answer. I'm almost certain the answer was she talked to police later that evening. So you gave a statement to police, and what did you say? She said, yes, I did give the statement. Told them the guy seemed a bit off, which is a lot of people say about me, that he was walking with purpose, had a cover over his nose and mouth. His head was kind of tucked down, blue/black jacket, space on. So I wrote blue/black jacket. I couldn't hear the word she said, but the last word was on. Diener, after the next day, you learned Abby and Libby were deceased. Yes. The following day, did you see an image of a person/bridge guy? Yes. So what were your thoughts? I saw the image and I said, that is the person we passed on the trail. Please get off the stand and go to the large map on the TV, the Google map of the area, and show where the last picture was taken. So this 126 photo, which I think is the one I just showed you guys. I don't know if there's another one. So Bree is at the map showing where this 126 photo taken at a bench was taken in general. Excuse me. Bree said there's a green building/roof in the background. So Diener had a very good question. Like, this is so important to this case. How long after that bench photo at 126 did you see Bridge Guy? Like, this is incredibly important. And again, I'm not like criticizing Rayleigh. Like, I think all of us have like focused so much on this case more than these people who are actually involved. And we know like all these details more than them, which I don't know, some people might disagree with me. So this is a huge question. How long after you saw or after you took the 126 picture, did you see bridge guy entering? It's like a huge part of this case. Bree said, we were still in the woods, still in the woody area. We couldn't see the highway yet. So as you exit the trail has less trees, and it turns into, at least now, it has like a cement area on the, it turns into like a sidewalk. So as you exit there, you can see Hoosier Heartland Highway. So she said, we could not see the highway yet when we passed bridge guy entering. Diener said the timestamp was Indiana. Bree said yes. Diener is done. Here comes Baldwin. The guy freaked you out. Yes. Baldwin takes this very large photo, screenshot of bridge guy, holds it up, and said, this guy freaked you out. Yes. So then Baldwin says, I guess based on her prior testimony, he said, you stood as high as his upper forearm. Bree said, I don't know. Baldwin asked another question that was, I guess, similar. She said, at the time, I guessed just general. Baldwin said he was a taller guy. Bree said, correct. Rick is 5'4" or 5'5". That's page 59. But I want to say something. Yes, I did. I'm going to say this. So the prosecution never asked, like, followed up on that. So Bree is saying, or sorry, yeah, Bree is saying the guy was taller. The prosecution should have asked her again. Not again. They never asked her. They should have asked her, how tall were you on the day of the murders? That's a mistake. Because the jury is just hearing this girl say he was taller, but there's no context about how tall she was. I'm triggered. I'm going to be presenting in this case before it's over. You don't know how bad I want to be like, that's wrong. Okay, anyway. I don't want Auntie Gull to kick me out. Baldwin continuing trying to cast doubt on Richard Allen as bridge guy. Give me a second. If you have sent me any kind of like comment on YouTube in the past week, I'm sorry, I'm totally behind on comments. I'm busy waiting in line or trying to get a little bit of sleep or hosting live chat. So sorry about that. If you give me money to put towards my travel expenses, I appreciate everyone so much. There's like 2 people who I was not able to respond to. It said, you're not able to reply to this person. So I replied to anybody who is kind enough to give me some money. So if you do not get a response, I have not responded to some today because I've been in court and doing this. So if you sent it a few days ago and I did not reply, it might be your setting. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Now back to Baldwin, trying to cast doubt on Rick being bridge guy, asking Bree about the man she saw. Did I spell Wilbur right? All right. Oh. Wilbur. I'll delete that. Baldwin. So he was a muscular guy. I'm not sure. When you talk to detectives Clinton and Marshall, so I guess this is so weird to me, from the PCA for Rick, they were like so I guess whoever wrote it, Liggett. Yeah, Liggett. Liggett wrote that in 2020, actually I thought it was Anna Spath who gave this video. Anyway, they referenced like one of these 3 girls or 4 girls was not really interviewed again until 2020. It's like, why is that 3 years later? Anyway, Baldwin referenced some police officers, Clinton and Marshall, talked to Bree in 2020. And Baldwin said you could review the words in the transcript to refresh your memory. So she read it for just like a minute or 2. And so Baldwin said, you said the guy you passed was muscular. So previously she said, I'm not sure. And then she looked at her 2020 statement and she said, yeah, I did say he was muscular. Baldwin, was he a younger guy? I'm not sure. Early 30s? Bree said, I may have. She said, it was like 3 years later in 2020. And Baldwin said, so your memory was bad. And Bree said, I was 16 in 2017. Baldwin said he was wearing a zip-up windbreaker. Bree said yes, which is important to me, and maybe the defense, because we've all looked at this video and stuff in the screenshot. And to me, you can see, as you're looking at the bridge guy on the left pocket in his jacket, you can see like some definition of some object. And there's this whole deal with like Carhartt jacket. A Carhartt was taken from Rick's home in 2022. So from what I've seen, like these Carhartt jackets have a heavier material where you cannot see detail of what's in the front pocket, but a windbreaker, you could. So was Bridge Guy wearing a windbreaker or a heavier Carhartt jacket? We're gonna have to find out if the prosecution or defense are going to show the jacket taken from Rick's home in 2022 to say this does match Bridge Guy or this does not, and therefore it exonerates Rick. Now back to Baldwin. So the guy you passed had a hood on. Bree said he had something on his head. I was able to see his hair. Baldwin said there were a lot of other people on the trail. She said a few. Did you see? Final question from Baldwin. Did you see a guy about 20 with brown poofy hair? I don't recall. So Baldwin's done. Here comes Diener with some more things. Diener held up the photo again, this large photo of Bridge Guy. Did anyone look like this other than who you passed near the start of the trail? Bree said no. There were no jury questions. That's it for Bree. We're almost done. Here's the moment a lot of us have been waiting for with some new information. Finally, some answers from Betsy Blair. Anyone who's posted a comment in this chat for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes, I have not seen it. Hopefully you're all behaving. If you're rude in my chat, the moderators ban you. All perspectives are welcome. Just be polite. That's all I ask. Here we go. I don't ban people. It's my moderators. I'm busy. Here we go. Betsy Blair. What the hell does that say? Oh, I think I wrote that. If you're wondering how old Betsy is, it's never good to ask a woman or anybody how old they are. I would say Betsy is currently in her 60s, maybe late 50s to late 60s. Anyway, so yeah, I'll get to this later, what I'm thinking. Here comes Betsy. She was asked, I think it was Diener who started asking her questions. Did you live in Delphi in 2017? No. Did you frequent Monon High Bridge Trail in 2017? Yes. In 2016? Yes. What was your general practice of going to the trail to walk, or to the trail? Betsy would walk several times a week, take the same path between High Bridge and Freedom Bridge. And she may have said one other thing, which I'm going to get to in a minute. I couldn't hear what she said, but I think it's going to be answered in a bit. She was asked, you always follow the same direction? Yes, for exercise by myself, she would go. I'm looking at the time to see when I can actually eat dinner. I ate a bag of Cheez-Its for dinner, no breakfast, and for lunch, someone was nice enough to give me a granola bar. Thank you. Here we go. Page 61 of 65. We're almost done. What was the weather like? A little chilly. See how some people say like it was warm and she said it was a little chilly? But we'll get to that in a second because get ready. Did you see people on the trail? Sometimes I did. Did you always go at the same time of day? No, it varied. Was there anything you had with you on the trail that helped you determine the time you were there on February 13th? Yes, I had a Fitbit step tracker. What was your typical route? She would park at the Mears lot, walk straight ahead to the intersection, make a left to Monon High Bridge, turn around, back that thing up. That was me saying that. Turn around at the barricade. So do I have this? Let me just show this. I do need to show you guys this because a lot of people don't know what the start of the bridge looked like in February 2017. If I can find it. Please stand by, it's important. Crap, I know I'm not gonna find it. Oh, I spoke too soon. Here we go. It's kind of dark. Let me show you guys this. I'm still on, right? I thought I ended the chat. Here we go. I'm going to show you what the end of the trail, start of the bridge looked like in 2017. So Betsy would go and make a left at the intersection, walking towards this area here to the start of High Bridge. I will zoom it in a little bit more. So where am I at here? Okay, so she would make a left at the intersection to Monon High Bridge. She said, I would turn around at barricade, which is this thing that we're looking at. She would go back to the intersection and she was calling it, I'm going to find it later. Let me see. She was saying like the niches, and I don't know, it was like NICHES trail or something. But I think she meant the 505 lower trail, which you get to at the Mears intersection. I think you guys all know these facts. So she turned around the barricade, went back towards the intersection, and at the intersection, she would make a left down the 505, but she would not go all the way down to like the water and the creek. She would turn back, and when she gets to the Mears intersection, she would walk towards Freedom Bridge, go to Freedom Bridge, turn around, and go to the Mears lot. So Diener said, how many loops would you do? Which essentially means how many times would she do that same pattern in the same visit to the trail? Betsy said, I would do that 3 times per trip. On February 13th, did you do 3 loops? I did 2 loops, took a break, and did a 3rd loop. I was going to say something, but that rhymes, but forget it. Did you park across from Mears? Yes. When you did 2 loops, did you see people? No. Remember that. I'm telling you guys, remember that. I'm going to leave that on the screen because it's important coming up. So Betsy did 2 loops, took a break, and came back. During her first 2 leaps, she did, hold on, I'm so tired. During her first 2 loops, she did not see anyone. And I'm about to get to the time that she did the first 2 loops, and you're going to be like, uh-oh. So she went back to her car, left, and came back. When she did loop 2, this is Diener, when you did loop 2, were you the only car parked at Mears? Yes. And then I went, so she did her 2 loops, went to the Delphi library restroom, and then returned back to the trail and did 1 more loop. Again, parking at the Mears intersection. Oh, actually, after Betsy, there's Steve Mullen comes back to testify with some important stuff. Yeah, important stuff. He's the last one of the day. During your third loop, did you see anyone on your way to High Bridge? She said, on the third loop to High Bridge, I saw someone on the bridge, a man. I went up to rail, which she said it was a barricade before, but now she's saying it's a rail. So she went up to this thing that you see here. I'm looking for my place, sorry. Okay, so she went up to this rail or barricade, went up, looked up, saw a person, turned around. That's what she said. That was like the highlights. She's not speaking in short sentences. I wrote here, between High Bridge and the entrance, did you see anyone? Yes, she saw Abby and Libby. So she turns around, starts walking back towards the mirror's intersection, and she sees Abby and Libby. What did you notice about Abby and Libby? They were walking along, chatting quietly, intimately. They really didn't look at me. So then after she passes them, Betsy walked all the way to Freedom Bridge. She did not see anyone, went back to her car, and left. This was around, her car was seen at 2:18, although it was different in the PCA. Anyway, we'll keep it moving. So Diener says, did you see later that day on the news that Abby and Libby were missing? Yes, but my husband told me first. He was at work when I guess he saw the news, and he knew I walked that trail a lot, and he saw the story on the news about the missing girls. So Betsy called the sheriff to say, I saw Abby and Libby and a man on the bridge right before the girls got to the bridge. Betsy said, I saw Abby and Libby's images on the news and recognized that they were Abby and Libby, the girls that she had passed that afternoon. Page 62 of 65. So did you learn the next day that they were deceased? Yes. Prior to being contacted by law enforcement, did you see a screenshot of Bridge Guy, I guess? Yes. So Diener shows Betsy Exhibit 210, this very large photo screenshot of Bridge Guy. And I think she said, is this the man you saw? And Betsy said, yes. And I wrote, when you saw this screenshot from Libby's video, did this man seem familiar? Betsy said, it was the man I'd seen on the bridge. So she said yes. So Diener said, within days, you were contacted by law enforcement to give a statement, and she said yes. Did you use Fitbit about the time you were there? She said yes. I shared the app from my phone with law enforcement. Exhibit 212, Diener said, do you recognize this image? And Betsy said, yes, it's my Fitbit data from February 13th. Betsy reviewed the times while she was walking. And so Betsy said, during loops 1 to 2, the time she was on the trail was 12 to 1. She said, between 12 to 1, you can see 5 lines on the Fitbit tracker are higher. It was during my first 2 laps on the trail. And I highlighted here, I was like, what? That's the first time we've heard that. I wrote, not good for Rick for guilt. And I'm gonna add that to my 4 column right now. Please stand by. So Betsy Blair is walking on the trail all over. Noon to 1. Doesn't see Rick. Rick said he was there noon to 1:30 on the trail, on the bridge, on the bench. Betsy did not see him between noon to 1. And we've not seen anything about 3 girls who were at the start of the trail at noon. We only know these 4 girls arrived at noon, not 3. And the 4 girls never saw bridge guy at noon. They only saw a man leaving, walking a dog at some point. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm looking to see where I am. All right, so this was huge that Betsy said her first 2 loops were between, she said 12 to 1. And so Diener said, I think she said, you would have seen bridge guy at beginning of walk. Betsy said, yes, I would have. When asked by law enforcement to describe, were you able to see face clear of the man who was on platform 1? Betsy said, not super clear, because he was 50 feet away out on platform. Diener said, anything about him that caught your attention? I have to read my handwriting. Give me a second. Okay, so she said he was out on platform. She didn't say 1, but that's what it was. I don't know. Sorry. She said he was out on platform. I wrote, just looked at me at barricade like he was expecting somebody or something. Felt like he wasn't looking for me, so I turned around. Could you tell he was a white male? Yes. Diener said something like, difficult to provide details. Betsy said, law enforcement asked me to do a sketch. Had you seen that man on platform 1 on the trail before? No. Did you see other people on the bridge on your 3rd lap? Betsy said, I just saw bridge guy and the 2 girls, Abby and Libby, during her 3rd lap. So Baldwin asked her some questions and says, one term that you're using that we have not heard before is niches or something like that. And he said, is that the same as the mirror's entrance? And I believe she said yes. I'm not sure if she meant niches is the entrance or the 505 trail, but honestly, it's not that important. So Baldwin says, you went from mirrors to the trail to the high bridge. You looked at the guy on platform on the right. I wrote you had, and then I missed something that Baldwin said, but I know that I'm pretty sure he was asking how long did you look at the guy on the platform on the bridge? And I know Betsy said, quote, it was a moment, end quote. So Baldwin says, you said the guy was in his 20s. And Betsy said, when I was asked, I said 20 to 30s or something like that. Baldwin, he had brown poofy hair. Betsy, I described that to person making sketch. 63 of 65. Baldwin says, so you turned and passed Abby and Libby before you got to Mears? Yes. Baldwin, you said he looked young? Yes. More boyish looking? I don't remember. In March 2019, you gave a statement to police. So Baldwin gave her a copy of that statement for reflection to assist. So I think he then said, on March 7th, in your statement on page 4, you said boyish, youthful in appearance. Betsy said, yes. Didn't look like someone who was married for over 25 years, and here comes somebody from the prosecution objecting, and Gull sustained. Baldwin was, I think maybe she said in 2019 or something, or before, that the guy she saw was of average height. And today her response to that was my best guess. After that, there was one other feature about him that Baldwin talked about, and I could not hear what he asked. After that, he asked if he had facial hair. Betsy said, didn't see. And then she said she did not see a hat on this guy. Baldwin, when you left Mears, you went west on 300 North and drove past CPS. The prosecution objected and said it's outside the scope of direct examination, and Gull sustained. So I don't know why they can't, or she can't be asked about the CPS thing at this point. Like, is she coming back later for a discussion about CPS? I don't understand that. Please educate me. Baldwin said, we'll bring her back. Okay. He was done. So Betsy was not wearing glasses on the stand. Why did the prosecution not ask her, what was your eyesight on the day of the murders? Were you wearing glasses? Like, in general, what do you need glasses for? Have you had contacts? Do you wear contacts? Have you had LASIK eye surgery? I thought that was a mistake by the defense to not, or sorry, the prosecution to not get those answers for the jury to say, like, is her description of this guy from 50 feet away accurate? You guys, some or most of you know, I came here to Delphi this past May for what were supposed to be 3 days of hearings, and it got canceled. And I went out to the trail because the only reason I wanted to go was to stand where Betsy Blair apparently stood. And I had somebody stand at platform 1. And I wanted to see for myself, wearing contacts, how much I could make out, like, the features of this man standing at platform 1. Like the guy who was standing there for me to do this test. I could not make out eye color. I could not really tell, like, general age. It wasn't easy. So I'm curious to know, like, what was her eyesight? I think it's important for the jury. Diener, so Baldwin was done, and now here comes Diener. You were interviewed multiple times. Each time you were asked to provide additional details, and Betsy said yes. You testified a few minutes ago that you saw Bridge Guy only a moment. Yes, I did. When you saw the Bridge Guy image, what? I'm sorry. When you saw Bridge Guy image, like the screenshot that came out, why did you draw, I think I wrote connection? Betsy said immediately knew it was the guy I saw on the bridge. So Diener's done. Here goes Baldwin. Since 2017, you have not changed your mind about description. Betsy said, I have consistently recognized him as the guy on photo, on Libby's photo. Again, Baldwin said, young, poofy hair. I'm sorry. So on the left side, I have young, poofy hair. And then under that, I said never changed. But then I said, so I think Baldwin said, you've never changed your description saying that this guy was young with poofy hair. Betsy replied, when described, I was comparing 2 different sketches / images. I don't know what that is. I guess maybe working with the sketch artist, he was giving her examples of what he was drawing based on her description. 2 page and a half left. I've been talking for 3 hours. Page 64. Does the jury have any questions for Betsy? Yes, there are 3. What was your distance to the man? Betsy said 50 feet. Question 2. How did you determine that the guy you saw was looking for someone? Because she said she thought he was, like, looking for somebody or something. So this is something that I wanted to know for a while. Betsy said the guy on platform 1, excuse me, his posture, let me start that over. How did you determine Bridge Guy was looking for someone? Posture, how he was standing, sort of facing upstream, which would have been like over towards the crime scene. So I don't know. I wish they would have clarified the direction he was standing. So she said sort of facing upstream, but he turned when I was there. Okay, question number 3 from the jury. Could your description of brown, poofy hair, could you have mistaken a hat for hair? Betsy said, I could have. And Betsy's done. We have one more person real quick. Steve Mullen, investigator. Okay, I have one more page of Mullen, and that's it. And then I'll get your comments for, I have to stop at like 3 hours and 30 minutes because I have to eat and sleep. Thank you. Steve Mullen, again, just a refresher, he's a Carroll County current prosecutor's office investigator, previously Delphi police chief. You testified, you reviewed Hoosier Harvest Store video. Steve Mullen said yes during the daytime. This is McClelland asking these questions. What hours on the 13th did you search? 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Did you review again? So I guess within the first few days, he reviewed and then he went back again. Yes, we looked at all video before, so the times were before midnight on the 12th until midnight on the 13th. Here comes the train for the 4th time. So he was asked again, like, which area of the road does the Hoosier Harvest Store camera capture? He said, the video is pointed from the edge of the store to about 150 yards to the west on 300, which is the west is going towards CPS. So 150 yards to the west towards CPS on 300. What was your purpose for reviewing this? To find vehicles traveling east or west. How did you acquire this video? The FBI went to businesses in Delphi who had like security cameras. Did the FBI provide documentation? Yes, they did. Exhibit 213 is an affidavit custody of records from the FBI report of like capturing the Hoosier Harvest Store camera video. Did they note a time change on video? Yes. So they're talking about like when they got these videos off the camera, I guess they were time stamped and the timestamp was incorrect. I'm sure some people are thinking, well, how do we know that it was maybe correct and they are misinterpreting it? They know the times that Kelsey dropped off Abby and Libby. They know when Betsy Blair drove that area, and they know when Sarah Carbaugh went that area. So I don't think there's a conspiracy going on. Yeah, so you noted a time change on the video. How did you know it was off? The FBI noted the time change. The video is 54 minutes fast. So what time frame did you look at? 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Which specific vehicles were you looking for? Witnesses like Betsy Blair, Sarah Carbaugh, we had descriptions of their vehicles and also Kelsey's car. What did you observe on the video? So exhibits 214 to 219, can you describe them? It's the view from the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. Let's see. What the hell's that? Oh, sorry. So it's the view from the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. I wrote a vehicle going east on 300. At this point, I looked at Rick while Mullen was on the stand over here, and Rick was like looking at the TV that had like nothing on it. So I wrote Rick looking left to TV, not at Mullen on the stand, but soon after that, he did look over at Mullen. Not reading anything into it. So exhibit 214, Betsy Blair's car at 12, let me just say it. 214 is Betsy Blair's car on video, and the timestamp says 12:56:59, but since it's off 54 minutes, the actual time was 12:02:59, and she's traveling east, which means she's going towards CPS. So when I say for these things, traveling east, it means, oh, I might have just messed that up, sorry. Going east on Hoosier Harvester camera is CPS to Mears. West is Mears to CPS. Capiche? So at 12:02, Betsy Blair is seen arriving at Mears parking lot. Betsy Blair said she was walking around noon to 1. I believe her. She has Fitbit and this video showing she was there for her first 2 loops for about an hour. We'll see what it shows up in a second. So Betsy Blair arrives at Mears 12:02. She leaves, headed towards CPS at 1:15. She comes back, CPS to Mears, 1:46 p.m. At 1:49, Kelsey is seen going from Mears to CPS. This is right after she dropped off Abby and Libby. Previously, this said 2:16, or no, sorry, it said 2:14 in the PCA because I remember it said 14 minutes before 2, so it's 1:46 and 2:14. But Mullen today said Betsy left Mears towards CPS 2:18. Final thing, Sarah Carbois traveling east, so CPS to Mears, 3:56 p.m. We've been saying 3:57. Final page. 3 hours and 13 minutes later. There's like over 1,000 comments that I've missed. Sorry. Okay. So Mullen went to the TV. Exhibit 5 is on the TV, which is this map that from Google, like the satellite image that they keep reviewing. So Mullen point on the map the direction headed. So he just reviewed what I reviewed. So he said 12:02, Blair, Betsy is going east from CPS to arrive at the Mears lot. 1:15 she leaves. 1:46 she comes back after using the potty. Kelsey drops them off at 1:49. Her car is seen at that time, or she drops them off at 1:47, 1:48. And it takes like the Mears entrance is like 30 seconds from Hoosier Harvester driving, or less. So Betsy leaves Mears to CPS at 2:18. Carbois goes past Hoosier Harvester towards Mears, 3:56. No more questions. Baldwin says, give me 1 second. Okay, so Baldwin is kind of like questioning, how do you know that this is the cars that you're telling us that they are? Like, how do you know that's Betsy's car or Sarah's? So Baldwin says, what do you think is Betsy's car? I wrote, did movements? So, sorry. Mullen answered, I think he said we had a description of the vehicle and the time they came, and the time, sorry. He had a description of the vehicle and the general time they arrived and drove in that area. He said they, like Betsy and Sarah, came into the police to confirm what was on video was them in their car. The jury, do you have any questions? No. End of day. Finally. So we did not see Rick's car on the 127 video. So that's that. So, crazy day with totally conflicting testimony. I don't know. I mean, for a while there, I was thinking like, it's looking really good for Rick that he's innocent based on this testimony stuff. So my current for and against Rick being guilty, for Rick being guilty is, I added today, Betsy Blair said she was on the trail, noon to 1, does not see a single person, according to her. And she doesn't see Rick. Rick said in 2022, I was there noon to 1:30. So how is she walking Mears to whatever, High Bridge back to Freedom Bridge, and she doesn't see Rick? His statement was that he parked next to an old building, which is CPS, started on the trails, and soon after he passed 3 girls and one was taller. He's looking at a stock ticker as he's on the trail. He sees a few vehicles on that trail, but in an hour and a half, he said he only saw those 3 girls near the start at around 12:05. The 12:05 is me saying it or estimating. So why did he not see Betsy Blair between noon to 1? That's not good for Rick, but a lot of this other stuff is. So sorry I missed all your comments. I will go. I'm sorry, but I have to eat and sleep. So I'll go like maybe 20 more minutes to like 3 hours and I don't know, something. Let me remove that. I have to get to this to thank everybody. Thank you, Checkman. Seriously, anybody who donates, I truly appreciate even $1 towards my travel costs. I'm not looking to make a single penny off this, and this is costing me like probably $6,000 to stay here for a month for car rental and lodging. Like I said, I'm not even eating food. So like if anybody can give $1 towards that, I'd appreciate it. I only have an Airbnb until this Saturday. And honestly, I kind of want to leave because like it's exhausting. But because so many of you people say you're appreciating what I'm conveying to you, I feel like an obligation that I have to stay. So I'm probably going to stay. But I'm going to have to evaluate my financial situation in a few days and also see like how easy and hard it is to get into the trial, because today I slept in. I was supposed to set my alarm for 5 o'clock, or actually 3:47 a.m. And last night I was just so tired. I was like, no, I just have to sleep. I'll miss the morning and I'll go in the afternoon. And I was like 26th in line, and I was the last person to get into the morning. And I was like 21st in the afternoon. So luckily I got in all day today. Wom, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. B Rob, thank you. If you've given me money before, seriously, one time is enough. I don't want people giving me a lot of money, so thank you. Hi, Green Woolwich. Hopefully you didn't have any tropical storm damage. Gino, thank you for being a member for so long. Candace, welcome. Thank you for signing up. Jennifer, courthouse vending machine money. I don't think they have one. So Judge Gull does not allow food or water inside the courtroom. So we're hungry. Mariah Carey with a $10 super sticker. All I want for Christmas is a chalupa from Taco Bell. If you're keeping track, I've gone to Dairy Queen twice in less than a week. If you're keeping a spreadsheet. Anyway, T Rose, hello, welcome. Yeah, so for my members, I was going to do like a live chat update during the lunch break, but the ways where it's so disorganized. Like you have to like run down to the first floor and get in line immediately after the morning session gets out, or you won't get into the afternoon. So there's no time to go outside, look at your phone. Phones are not allowed in the building, so I apologize. I will do a member live chat maybe this weekend to talk more candidly than I do in public chats. Bridget, thank you. Actually, in line, I've met a lot of people who have been nice and it hasn't been too awkward. Michelle, thank you so much for, I think your Australian money. You gave me some money already though. Thank you, Michelle. Like I said, please don't overdo it. I'll survive. Like even like $1, that's all I'm like really asking. If enough people give $1, it'll help me with my travel and lodging expenses. Brandon, hi, thank you so much. Cindy, I don't have to ration this for the next 4 days. Thank you for my gum money. Charmaine, I appreciate you so much. A member for 21 months. Hope you and your job are doing well, and your granddaughter. I'm almost done. Thank you so much to all these people. Danny Love? Thank you, Danny. I love you. Robin, get some sleep. All right, I'm sleeping. I'll give like 15 minutes of your comments. Here we go. What are you guys talking about for the past 3.5 hours? I do have one packet of Cheez-Its, so I will eat that for breakfast. Although I feel like going to Pizza Hut real quick, but anyway. Let me see if there's anything that I feel like should be highlighted here. Hi, Mark. Thank you. Yeah. So when they were showing the like really close up of their wounds, I was waiting. I was looking down at my notepad, which is like all I'm doing essentially. And if they described it as being like a picture of the wounds, I did not look up. I only looked up when they said it was like something not too disturbing. Hi there. Don't BH Aiden. Whatever your screen name is, sorry. Hi to your dog. Did they show rest of video and could you hear or see Bridge Guy? I could not see Bridge Guy in, so Libby's video was not zoomed in. They only zoomed in so we could get a better picture or whatever of Bridge Guy. The audio, the first time I heard Guy's, but it definitely sounded far away from Libby's phone. So I say Libby's standing maybe, I don't know, I saw it quick, so maybe like 5 to 10 feet off the very last train track. So I don't know where Bridge Guy was at that point. He was not shown. So I think like the phone was showing gravel. I don't know if she then really quickly put it into her pocket and pushed the button on the side to turn off the video. But a lot of us were wondering, we cannot hear Go Down the Hill. And then this guy, Jeremy Chapman, did some audio enhancement and it did say Down the Hill, clearly. Xtina, court ended around 5 o'clock, about an hour early, so I started early. I have no idea what tomorrow holds, if I'll get in early or what. I can't go, I need some sleep, so I don't know what time I'm waking up. Hi, Lynn. Lynn says one of the exhibits is Rick's confession from March 3rd, 2023. It was April 3rd, 2023. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. Who's going to be called to the stand? And like I said before, it seemed like they weren't allowing Betsy Blair to talk about CPS. And Baldwin said, we'll bring her back later. So I don't know what that was all about. Hi, Ghost Gaming. I turned my heat off so you guys could hear me. I am, oh my gosh, I'm 3 hours and 10 minutes behind comments. Uh-oh. That's a new record. Hi, Purdue RN. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna end it, you guys. No, I don't feel right doing that. Let me look for a few comments. Please stand by as I'm looking for your comments. Laura says, this judge's rules stink. Yeah, I agree with you. I would not be here if it was being broadcast or they were giving an audio version. So some woman, Andrea Burkhart, is an attorney from a different state, and she's been here in line early in the morning, and she submitted some kind of legal document the other day saying like, Judge Gull, what you're doing is not right. And Judge Gull is busy. But Judge Gull said she was up until 2 a.m. the other night working. I don't know that anybody has sympathy for him. Still looking. I don't know. Hopefully you guys like chatted with each other and don't really need my feedback. Like I just said, Down the Hill, I could not hear it on the original audio, but this guy who enhanced it, I mean, it's what we've all heard. You can hear it. Hi, Miranda. My eyes are going bad and I can't really see the chat. I'll do like 4 more minutes. Hi, Wes. So he owns the same caliber gun as the one the bullet found. What else do they have? Well, as I just said before, Betsy Blair walked the entire trail noon to 1. Rick said he was there noon to 1:30. Rick never said he saw her, and she did not see him. So where was he? Hi, Charles. I'm trying my best with these notes and just trying to convey to you guys what's going on. Three more comments and then I'm sorry, but I got to get some sleep. Yeah, so Scott says, I don't know what you're talking about there. Is it possible he turned his phone off when the girls passed him on the bridge? We have not even gotten to the point where like any kind of analysis of what was taken from Rick's house in October 2022 or what his phone data showed. So stay tuned. Did his car data show anything? There's still a fair amount of stuff to be presented. There's still like 4 more weeks. What's today? Tuesday? Yes. This is going to November 15th. We have 4 more weeks left. So 3 more comments. Hi, Annie. Thank you for loving me. Hi, Shane, if you're still awake in Europe. His cell data must be massive. Can't wait to hear. Well, they only got access to his phone 5.5 years later after this happened. So is there any data even remaining on his phone from the day of the murders? 2 more comments. Cindy, yeah, me too. I'm waiting for Dan Doolin, who's the conservation officer who interviewed Rick outside the grocery store, which is like 1 block over from the courthouse. Final comment. Let me scroll towards the bottom. Hi, Cinder. Yeah, I was thinking, how about somebody else wake up at midnight and Tom will wake up at 9 a.m. and I'll take notes in the afternoon and somebody else can take morning notes. So I don't know. These other people, some people are literally getting there at like 2 a.m. every day. It's just not sustainable. It's not good for people's health, mentally or physically. All right, I have to go, you guys. I'm sorry. 3.5 hours, I think, is decent. I will see you tomorrow. I've scheduled 6:30 p.m. Eastern live chats for the rest of this week. I started today, I think at 5:15, so like an hour, 15 minutes early. I'm not allowed to bring my phone to the courthouse, so I will try to do a community post letting you know when I'm out of jail, when I'm out of courthouse, and say like I'm out. I'll start my chat in 15 minutes or whatever, whether it's at 5:15 or 6:45 if I'm late. That's it. I need to rest my iconic vocal cords. Yeah. Lynn, thank you so much. More candy. I need some more Cheez-Its. Cookie whoopie pie. Thank you so much. And Mariah, welcome to my ridiculous YouTube channel. All right, bye everybody. I have to go, but I'll see you tomorrow and the day after and the day after. What? I didn't see this. I hope every time Rick looks at you, he thinks, is that the Keg-Okio guy? I don't know if Rick is truly guilty. Did he see my first video that I put out in May 2021 with my cringeworthy intro? Is that why he's looking away? All right, bye everybody. I'm more cringy than Rick.